What is up, RotoGrinders? Happy Monday. 2 hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation. Actually, it's 2+ hours, right? It's 4:35 on the East Coast. First pitch today is 6:40. So if you do the old math there, it's 2 hours and 5 minutes. No time for shenanigans. No time for nonsense. Crunch time coming in later. We adjusted our schedules. That's why don't stare at your clock enough. And this is why you turn on the notifications. This is how you know you're going live right now, because the schedule adjusts. We adjust accordingly. That's why we're on a half hour early, 25 minutes early. My apologies for our 5-minute lateness for a 30-minute earlier show. If you're scoring at home with your math, you're busting out your calculator on me. Happy Monday. We have Kid Yahoo, leader of the Juggalos. Juggalos? What's a Juggaloo? I don't know what that is. The Juggalos. It's Kirkwood, Kirk Dees. Also, you call him, I guess he's still Kid Yahoo. At some point, I feel like we might have to retire the kid, but who am I to say? It's always the kid. Like 78 years old, you're still going to be Kid Yahoo?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. We'll always stick with Kid Yahoo. There's other nicknames. The leader of the Gutless rankings, which I don't. Has word spread? Is Twitter a buzz? Are they aware that we're going to be dropping?
I just posted it. We'll see.
Did you post it? Okay, hold on. Just to be clear, you posted the actual rankings, or you posted the rankings will be dropped? You got to tease the people.
I posted the link.
You just gave them the goods.
I'm a man of the people, Dean. Give them the goods and discuss on the show.
All right. Yes. Later on in the show, the official power rankings will be released for the Gutless power rankings. Looking forward to that as well. We also have Keith Eister. Keith, happy Monday. How are things in your world?
Yeah, happy Monday. Good weekend. Lots of fun basketball. The playoffs, obviously, for the NBA going strong. Good game sevens yesterday. WNBA kicked off as well, so got to dabble in some projections for that over the weekend. That was a good time, but ready to get in and break down some baseball here on Monday.
Are you in the WNBA streets? Like, I guess if you're taking the time to do the projections and all that, you might as well throw out a few lineups there. It's been a week or so since the season's debuted. Is that about right?
Yeah.
You have any sort of read in the first week?
Yeah, I mean, it's all pretty new to me. I was a casual follower at best coming into the season, but yeah, definitely got deep into the weeds leading up to the weekend before the projections, and feel like I'm becoming an expert quickly. So it's been a good time. Yeah, I dabbled a little bit. I didn't have anything that was flirting with the top of tournaments or anything over the weekend, but we'll get there eventually.
It's probably easier to pick up because there's only 12 teams. Am I right to say there's only 12 teams? Maybe 14. How many teams are there?
Yeah, now you're testing me off.
I'm
not even sure there's 14. 12
I think it's 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got a couple new ones coming in. I believe Toronto and I forget what the other city is, but they are expanding as well. So, yeah, my apologies. I didn't mean to stump you on that one. I am going to stump you.
Answer. I confirmed.
I may stump you with Movie Monday. The people in chats are already clamoring. It is a Movie Monday. The people are excited. Should we just go ahead and just drop the first clue and get it out of the way right out the gate? I should say, shout out to producer Steve. I always run these by producer Steve and producer Devin, try to see if it's too hard, too easy. They like to play along. And producer Steve banked this in 2. And then I said, well, screw that. We're going to shuffle the words around. We're going to put that second word at the end. And so something triggered him. It was just too easy for him. So shout out to Steve. We're going to put that word in the back end. But he did not get it in 1. Clue number 1 is diner. And if you guys are new to the show, what is this Movie Monday? What's going on? Well, tell me what movie we're talking about. I'm going to give you 5 separate clues individually as the show progresses. You have 1 guess per word. Where do you submit that guess? You submit that guess into the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord, and go into the live stream chat room and just go ahead and tell me what movie we're talking about. The first person that guesses that movie gets themselves 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium, where you can get access to Keith's fabulous WNBA content, amongst other things. CSGO, PGA, UFC. I was going to say MMA, but that's the same thing. That will be, I'm just trying to stretch it out there. MLB, of course. You get all the MLB content. You get Cheese's articles. You get the expert rankings. You get Well, Keith, you today you did stacks, right? Is that what your article was today? I believe it was stacks. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. I think we got 4 stacks in there that are clearly standing out to me today, so definitely check that out.
Tim in chat is telling me that it's no longer CS:GO, it's just CS. They dropped the Go. Is that correct? Do you guys know this? Is this? I can't speak to this.
Wrong crowd here. Well, maybe Kirkwood knows, but I certainly do not.
Nah, my lowest point of my life was up at 4:00 in the morning over COVID, and my gamer got scratched right before on the first night I played.
Oh, thumb?
I was like, I don't know. Didn't he was scratched, and I was up all night, like I was all excited for it, and he got scratched. I was like, I'm done.
Were you gonna watch it?
I was like, Korean baseball is enough. I was like,
it's funny. I thought you were gonna talk about your lowest part was playing like CS:GO in the middle of the night, like 4:00 in the morning, because this is so strange. This is so random, Kirkwood. But I got me and you. I don't know if you know this. We're like PlayStation friends. Do you know this? So you're never up. And I said, Kirkwood, like last logged on like 8 months ago. I'm like, oh, well, I guess you have one. You just never use it.
I have everything, and I never use them. I bought the freaking virtual reality,
me too.
And I never the second edition, the newer one, I think, the newer one, and
still in the box.
Still, we set it up, and it got then like I got interrupted, and so I never went back to it. And then I was upset because my girl threw out the game, the little code they give you for the free whatever your game comes with, and she threw it away. She thought it was like just part of the box, whatever, and I was so mad.
I was trying to keep track of your story, and I did kind of sort of sum up, but I'm officially derailed because we got a hole in one. Somebody binked the movie clues just on Diner alone. So that they like
Brokeback Mountain.
Say it again.
Was it Brokeback Mountain?
No, it's not. It's never going to be Brokeback Mountain. I know you're always going to guess Brokeback Mountain. It's never going to be Brokeback Mountain. Yeah, good guesses, by the way. Reservoir Dogs is a very good guess. Of course, there's a famous diner scene there. Casino, is there a diner scene in Casino? I know there's one about the chocolate chip muff. And the producer Steve guessed Pulp Fiction, which of course is a famous diner scene. But I guess I won't ruin it just yet. We can play it out for funsies. But shout out to the person in chat. We'll call you out soon enough. But well, if nothing else, producer Steve will slide in and hook you up with a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. Well done on just one clue. That was impressive. All right, there you go. We got to make these harder. Try to be a man of the people, but now that's too easy. If your people are getting in a hole in one, we got to make these things tougher. All right, note going forward. And typically I should have like a backup game because I don't, now what are we doing the rest of the way? But I was not prepared. I didn't think anybody would get a hole in one, but there we go. All right. Tim is mentioning tomorrow is the People's Show. This is the Kirkwood and Kirk D's show. It's not a huge slate, but it's enough games to work with. Screenshot today, Kirkwood. I think it's kind of like the offenses are quote unquote obvious and the pitching is spread out, right? I think it's like you can argue for one of 8 pitchers if you want, maybe even more if you really, really want to. There's some matchup conversations that we can talk about. Salary, of course, is a thing too. But when it comes to the offenses, I think it's pretty clear, at least before they start hitting and start swinging and all that, like the 2 obvious ones on paper, and then there's a gap. Do you see it that way? How do you see today's slate?
Yeah, I think it's overwhelmingly a pretty strong pitcher slate. And I think there's like 2 spots for the top offense, like you said, one being the Dodgers, who are going to get, what's his name? He's electric, his name. What's his name?
Who are you asking about that's electric?
Who's coming? The Diamondbacks. Who's coming in? Slade.
Ciccone.
Yeah. Oh, he's not electric. Spoiler alert.
Electric name. And then Detmers against Houston. Some people have been clamoring for Houston to be on the Gutless rankings. I don't quite see it like that yet, but open to discussing. But other than that, you could make an argument for pretty much any pitcher. So that means the offenses are all kind of tough. We do have good teams. We do have a lot of, we do have the Yankees. We do have the Orioles, but they're facing Sonny Gray. But they could still go off. I mean, they're just on fire. Good team. But yeah, so I'm a little upset too. The 2 pitchers I was really liking the most here are facing each other. and we got an extreme hitters ump for that one. Wasn't too happy to see, but
That's okay. They're facing each other.
Yeah.
We don't care so much about that, right?
I don't care about them facing each other. I care about the extreme hitters ump.
Yeah. How about yourself, Keith? Before we kind of fully dive in, how are you seeing the slate? I know you wrote an article about stacks, and you said you wrote 4 stacks, and certainly, you're looking to be different in tournaments as well. But on paper, I think at least there's a couple tiers, and it's also an interesting conversation. We don't have the lineups just yet for the late game for Arizona and the Dodgers. It's an interesting slate where it's kind of a sprint slate with one game at the end, right? We got every lineup so far. Every lineup is in on this 8-gamer. Again, it starts at 6:40. But we do not have Diamondbacks. We do not have Dodgers. And the plan is, this seems pretty sharp on Arizona's part, they're going to start with Mantiply, who's a lefty. And that doesn't mean you can't play Freddie Freeman. It doesn't mean you can't play Shohei Ohtani. But it thwarts them a little bit. You'd rather them facing Ciccone, no matter how electric he may or may not be, or at least he has an electric name. Again, not suggesting that the Dodgers stack is like worse or like really significantly hit. And Ohtani and Freeman hit lefties just fine. But I think it's a slight hit. If you're looking for reasons not to play the Dodgers outside of ownership, that's one. And I'm also curious, we saw this earlier, like how they're going to handle their lineup. Like if Mantiply is not going to pitch more than like 2 innings, and do they just start with Lux out there left on left, knowing he might not even face him? Same deal with Jason Hayward. That's what we're projecting right now. We are projecting Lux to start. Lux a lefty, Mantiply a lefty, but maybe he doesn't even get to him. Ciccone a righty coming in. Same deal with Hayward. We'll have to wait to see what that lineup is, but how much does that matter for you, Keith, as far as the Dodgers lineup and Mantiply being, throwing baseballs? And the other part is your screenshot, your review as far as today's slate.
Yeah, it's definitely a sharp move by the Diamondbacks, starting with the lefty opener. You can definitely, he's going to face Ohtani and Freeman in that first inning, and that's really who you're worried about the first time through. Ciccone really struggles against lefties. He's only struck out like 15% of them or something like that. And he's given up a lot of barrels and a lot of ISO to lefties as well. So definitely a good move to start with the lefty and then have Ciccone come in once you get through the top part of the order that's extremely dangerous. The lineup matters. I hope that Jason Hayward is in there in particular, even if he does, we're projecting him to hit 8th right now. Like Mantiply is probably not going 2 innings. Maybe he goes an inning and a third at most or something like that. But I don't think Hayward ends up facing him. Freeman and Ohtani, I'm not worried about them left on left. I would have concerns about Hayward in potentially one of his only 4 at-bats facing a lefty just because he's really struggled with lefties. Lux has not really been productive enough for me to care about. I'm indifferent to whether he's in the lineup or not. But Hayward, I am interested in. And then as far as the overall screenshot, I kind of agree. It's pretty obvious on the offensive side who I want to stack, who I want to go with. I think there's a ton of options on the pitching side. So I'm going to take some stands at pitcher more so than I am on the offenses. The other thing, I think all 4 of them are pretty close when you consider price. The Dodgers are super expensive as they should be. Houston is their top 2 hitters are priced up. Of course, Altuve's pricey as well. But then there's some value at the bottom of the lineup where it's feasible to stack them even and then still pay up for pitching as well. So that's one dynamic. A couple of other cheaper stacks that we'll get into as well that I think are in play, 2 that are clearly above the rest for me. But on the pitching side, I'm not really agreeing with where this ownership is landing. Like Kirkwood, I have interest in the same 2 that he has as I'm looking to make sure that the extreme hitters umpire is in that game in Tampa there. I definitely have interest in those 2 guys. I like the price tag in particular on both of them. Framber Valdez is looking like the chalk option, especially on DraftKings where he's pretty cheap. And he's a great pitcher, but he's not necessarily somebody I love to play for DFS. So we'll get into the full pitching conversation in just a second here, but I think pitcher is the way I want to differentiate today.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well. There are 2 extreme hitters umpires scheduled right now. One for Pablo Lopez. You mentioned for Bradley and Houck. You guys ever so subtly referenced that that's your favorite pitcher. Facing each other, good ballpark. Those offenses are not necessarily spectacular. Brandon Lau is back, though, I believe, for Tampa for what it's worth. Parker also drawing an extreme hitters umpire. The other side of that Minnesota game, I assume nobody's really watching. Nobody really is rostering Parker. Mr. Richard in chat says, what time did the show start? Well, Mr. Richard, this is why. I mean, come on. You're here all the time. We always appreciate the support. But this is why you got to turn on the notifications. We have an early slate, so we've been here since 4:30-ish. We've been going for about 15 minutes or so. Of course, taking you all the way up the lock, we yield the crunch time. Crunch time coming in about an hour or so. Of course, they're going to take you all the way up the lock. They're going to go around the horn, get their favorite plays, position by position, their favorite pitchers when it comes to cash and tournaments. We kind of do the overview if you guys are not aware. I'm giving a refresh as far as ownership, and I kind of agree with you guys that I think that some of these numbers, it's, the closer we get to lock, the more refined it gets, but it's pretty condensed. Valdez, I think it's mostly just the discount, Keith. You're kind of referencing Valdez being the most popular pitcher currently on DK. He's also, we're doing the air quotes, right? But Framber is like the safest, right? He's like always like the safest pitcher, quality start machine. Probably not going to strike out 8 like he did last time, but I guess he can. He's also a guy that can go 7-ish, if he's efficient with his pitches. He's getting 36% ownership. Taj Bradley's been good so far since coming back, off his injury in a couple starts, 29%. Yamamoto is 10.5. I think he's a little bit better on FanDuel, where just kind of if you're price shopping around. I like a little bit more on FanDuel where you're just rostering one. And Pablo Lopez getting just 22% is kind of interesting, facing a Washington team that's we're not necessarily afraid of. Sonny Gray's been awesome this year as far as strikeouts. He's starting to give some runs of late, but and this Baltimore team is pretty tough. So I guess that explains his ownership, and also the tag 5 figures, right? 10K, a full 10K on DK. What was your big issue, Keith? What were you saying as far as ownership? You think that Bradley, or I guess Houck, probably should be higher than 16%?
I just don't want to play Framber Valdez as the highest owned pitcher on the slate is my main issue. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that I'm going well under the field on that number. I'm considering fading Framber Valdez altogether. If you look at the Angels, they're actually not terrible against lefties. They're 8th in WRC plus, and in WOBA, they only strike out at 20.5% against lefties. I'm just not seeing upside for Framber Valdez. I mean, the biggest caveat to that is he is a guy who is an extreme ground ball pitcher, so he does well in getting himself out of jams. He has an extreme, he could end up going 7 game, even if he only gets 5 or 6 strikeouts. Maybe that's enough to be at the top of tournaments at this price tag. But I'm going to chase strikeouts. Guys like Bradley, Lopez, Houck. Like I'd much rather chase the upside strikeout pitchers than I would lock in safety in a Framber Valdez in a matchup that I don't see the upside here for him.
Keith, your take as far as Framber? I'm sorry, Kirkwood.
I don't mind him. I get it, the ownership disparity. You don't really want to play him on such high ownership, but I also am. I don't care what the numbers say about the Angels. I know this lineup stinks. Okay. Like these guys are overperforming right now, and I think by the end of the season it will change dramatically. But maybe it won't, and I'm wrong. But and if you look from like 4 to 9, like down, like after the first 3 batters that don't K a bunch, you got like 4 through 9 that do K a lot, and then although Framber's not a K pitcher, but he has those games. I mean, he's coming off one of them too, where he looked really, really solid. Let me just review my notes on the last start here.
8 Ks.
Yep. And he's electric. He was electric in that start. So here we go. So, and he threw 97 pitches. You get the good pitch count. He had 8 Ks. He had 29% CSW, which is fine for him. I think I like him. I get it from if we're max entering or if we're in, playing like big field GPPs, he's probably somebody to get under the field on. But in some of the higher dollar, single entry 3-man stuff, I think he's just fine.
Yeah, 16 pitchers throwing baseballs today. We're not counting Mantiply, I guess. He's got the 10th highest K rate, which is not spectacular, but the Sierra is the 4th highest. The lowest Sierra, for what it's worth, we'll talk about Sonny Grayson enough. Second lowest is Lopez. Third lowest is Houck. And then Yamamoto's between Houck and Valdez. Collectively, that Angel lineup does strike out at 22.1%. It's just the top, like you said, the first 3 are pretty contact heavy. And Chanel, kind of a small sample, but just no power whatsoever there. A 70 ISO and 50 at bats. 16% Ks, 17% Ks for Rengifo and Ward, respectively. But The rest will strike out a fair bit. And also, I think he's got a pretty good shot at that W. We'll take those win points if we can get them. What else is going on? I saw some other things in the chat that people were throwing out there. I don't know why Dean has sand in his tidy whities at Cocoa Beach today. That is oddly specific. None of that is true. I don't know. Cocoa Beach is a beach in Florida, for the record, but I'm not.
Do you wear tidy whities?
I mean, is this what people want to know? No.
I don't know. I mean,
what am I Walter White? No, I'm not wearing tidy whities. Are you? Do you want to tout? What's that?
No, I actually wear just regular boxers because I like to breathe. Sure. I've tried the boxer brief route, but like I'm married, but I don't need to.
What? I don't know the correlation of being married or not, but okay, fair enough. Keith, is there anything you want to share? I don't want to leave you out, but if you want to share, by all means.
Nope, I'm good.
You got to open up, Keith. You got to get in. You got to get in the mix here.
Definitely no tidy whities for me.
All right. Yeah, but Tommy John. I it's the unofficial sponsor of the show. Tommy John. It's expensive underwear, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. Check out TommyJohn.com. I don't get any kickback. I don't have stock in the company. No referral. Nothing like that. But you're gonna thank me later. All right. Let's kind of work our way down. Tell me why, Kirkwood, your favorite two pitchers are the two pitchers facing each other. Taj, Bradley taking on how are those your two favorite?
Yeah. So first of all, I like the park. I like that. I like what they've been doing. So if you look at the, Taj obviously doesn't have the sample for this season that Hawk has, but he looked really, really solid in his first two starts here. He's, got a 29.5% K rate. He's already faced Boston once. That was one, and then he's faced the Yankees. So they weren't cupcake matchups, although Boston maybe is. But all this, low walks, the command was good. He, his velocity was good. He was up over 96. So I think against this Red Sox lineup, everyone but Devers, who's going to homer today because he's on a hot streak.
Oh, boy. 5 in a row, right? I think it's 5 in a row.
Yeah, he did five in a row. So I'd be scared of Devers, but other than that, I'm not scared of my my Boston lineup. Although they just did annihilate gutless Cardinals. And I loved. I was looking for tweets from STL Cards, and he delivered as usual.
He never disappoints.
Yeah, never. So that was good. But and I like the other side. I think Tanner Hawk's been great. He's coming in with the under 3 Sierra. He's got under 5% walks. His command has been awesome. He's got a nice swinging strike rate, 11.2%. 24% Ks, but the Rays do K. Tampa's 11th in K percentage against righties. So and they've been, I was potentially going to put them on the gutless list at one point. Tampa, but
you have others receiving votes, right? You wanted to see what the chat had to say. You wanted to get the chat's input so we can have others receiving votes.
And I might throw a tweet out. I might throw a tweet out before next show. Give me your who's gutless or something like that. And then we might even branch out into individual players with a top 10 list of individual players. But
wow.
Yeah. But this is the start.
How much would recency bias factor into it? Like immensely? Is that a big factor?
Immensely. So so let's we should do that when we get to hitting, actually.
Okay.
But unless you want me to go into detail about some of the things. Let's wait till
yeah, when we show the board, you'll explain, and I'm sure some of it has to do with like also players you specifically rostered or teams you specifically rostered, like yesterday. They didn't hit 17 runs, so all of a sudden you were massively disappointed. We should go ahead, and we're playing this out for funsies as far as the old Movie Monday because we already had a winner make it. Let's go ahead and drop the second clue. We're just trying to get some reps in now. First clue is diner. Second clue is looking at my list because I know I changed the clues up. What did I put for the second clue? Producer Steve, just go ahead and throw it up on the screen. It'll be a big surprise for all of us, including myself. Sunglasses, I believe, was clue number 2. There you go. Clue number 2 was sunglasses. I see TJ popping up in chat. What's up, TJ? One of the greatest DFS players now, Saskatchewan, Canada. TJ has he probably be pretty good at this game because he works in the field of movies and TV and things of that sort. So maybe he knows what movie we're talking about. Now just getting the reps in because somebody's already won a week free of premium. Pablo Lopez, Keith, what about Pablo Lopez?
Yeah, I mean, top pitcher on the slate for Washington's been a little bit better on offense than they were last. They still don't strike out a ton. I'm certainly for this Washington offense. I think he's the skilled pitcher on the slate. Strikes up almost 29%. Walk rate way down at 4%. I think he's too cheap on DraftKings. Like, he should be over 10K in this spot, in my opinion. So I don't know why he's not the most popular pitcher on the slate. He's my favorite option. So I'll gladly play him over the field compared to Framber Valdez, even Yamamoto, who we'll get to in just a second. But yeah, Pablo's my favorite pitcher on the slate.
All right, you're coming in a little bit robotic, Keith. He's currently at 22%. When you say over the field, like you want to like well over, like we're talking like 40 or so. Maybe try to keep the answer succinct, but like we're talking, what percent are we talking about for Lopez?
Yeah, double the field is what I'm looking at.
All right. Your thoughts here, Kirkwood, as far as Lopez? Take it on Washington?
Yeah, just playing the other day. It was a disappointing start against the Yankees, but you know, he always has a nice floor. He's, you know, all of his stats are there. He's a true ace. You know, he's almost 29% K percentage, 13% swinging strikes, under 3 Sierra. It was in his last start where he got banged up. It was just basically kind of Babbitt the whole time. He was kind of real unlucky. So I think he's going to get things going and going to get, you know, really be the ace that we're all waiting on for him this season. But this is certainly a fine spot for him. So I'm good with him at the top. I like picking on Washington, even though they don't strike out a ton, but should be a good spot for him. My other favorites, as we said, Hawk and Bradley are the next two. We got to have a conversation about Joe Ross.
He's cheap. That's the conversation, right?
Then we gotta parlay that into a conversation with Waka. And Yamamoto just seems a little too pricey against the Diamondbacks. That I don't think he's worth. I mean, he's been electric too. He's as solid as it gets. But Arizona is not the biggest K team. They Keith did put them in the honorable mentions for the Gutless rankings, though. I will say that. So maybe the matchup's a little better than
Let's
it
see,
is.
Keith.
But,
just want Keith to chime in and see if he's all good now. Yamamoto, Keith, what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's the discovery for the Diamondbacks that is concerning me. They just don't strike out a ton. They have Gutless against right-handed pitching this season, though, and a huge part of that has been the struggles of Corbin Carroll. But against right-handed pitching, the Diamondbacks are all the way down at like 25th in WRC plus and WOBA. So not nearly as tough of an offense against righties. They were much better last year, but have struggled this season. So I think it's a solid matchup from a run prevention standpoint for Yamamoto. It's the strikeouts that I'm concerned about, though.
Yeah, and like if he strikes out 4 or 5 and goes 6 innings of 1 run, like he's fine, but that's not exactly ideal and probably not what you're paying for. That's not the ceiling game you're looking for. Not going to blow your whole game up and not going to destroy your lineup, but you're looking for a little bit more of a ceiling than that. They're talking about Olsen in chat. I know Olsen's not going to have a home run all season long. He's been lucky when it comes to homer to fly ball stuff. I assume that means his Sierra is probably higher than his ERA. Yeah, his Sierra is almost double his ERA because the ERA is 2.09. Sierra is still fine at 3.79, but you know, BABIP 246, the homer and the fly ball at 0%. He's been getting a ton of ground balls. We'll give him that as a skill. I saw in the chat somebody mentioning Dean Kramer, picking on those gutless Cardinals. No Carpenter in that lineup, by the way. I thought he might crack it. He's not cracking it versus the righty. Kirk, what you wanted to talk about, if you have any thoughts as far as those guys, by all means. Like I said, like we kind of talked about, there's like 10 pitchers you can roster. You can roster most of these guys. And then, you know, hitting, it's, again, the 2 top stacks are pretty obvious. Doesn't mean you have to play them. Doesn't mean they're going to be the best. Baseball, always goofy stuff can happen. Goofy stuff is always in play. If you have a thought, Kirk, what as far as either Olsen or Kramer by all means. But I think we should have that conversation. Are we going to double spend up to some degree, or are we going to spend down on Joe Ross? Good ballpark, bad opponent. Bad is like they're not good. But Ross is not spectacular either, not as good as he once was. And then there's on the other side, the other cheapie is Waka, who's like a little bit more expensive, but still pretty cheap. I prefer Waka to Ross. I don't want to go all the way down to Ross, but I guess if it fully opens things up, maybe. But I don't love it. Your thoughts?
I kind of like it.
Ross
more than I kind of like Ross more than Walker. First of all, it's the Marlins. I know they don't have the highest strikeout rates, but this team is dog water. And Ross looked really good in his start the other day. He had a 36% call strike whip. He went 91 pitches, which was nice to see. His command was great. So I'm definitely interested for that price, because you can pretty much build whatever you want using him. So especially since we know where if you can fit an extra Dodger bat in there, and I think he could pay off tonight, definitely. So I'm on board with
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but do you want an interesting stat on Ross?
Yeah.
For your case for Ross, Joe Ross's swinging strike rate this season is 13.4%. Pablo Lopez, 13.4%. The same exact swinging strike rate as Pablo Lopez. Higher than Sonny Gray, higher than Yamamoto. It does suggest his case should be a little bit higher, like 13.4% as far as swinging strikes. The actual case at 19.3%. Walks a little bit too high at 8.3%. And like you said, that ballpark's really nice. Taking a look at the Marlins lineup. One thing I wanted to mention for Lopez, by the way, that I thought was just worth noting, that Joey Gallo's back. You like seeing Joey Gallo back if you want to hunt for homers or if you want to strike him out. So I think it's just a better case for Lopez just seeing Gallo back in the lineup there. This Marlin team, it's pretty contact heavy, but it's mostly contact heavy in the back end. And if he's going to see the top end 3 times around, the back end just twice around, right? He's going to get Jazz at 28% 3 times, De La Cruz at 24%, Bell at 21%, Sanchez 24%, Berger at 27%. The back end stinks, but they're really contact heavy. So again, just the way that lineup lines up, I think it's a little bit of a benefit there for Ross as well. Keith's going to give us another shot here. Your thoughts when it comes to the cheapies, Ross versus Waka? How much do we need those? How much are you rostering them?
Yeah, I'll be over the field both of them. I do have a slight preference for Ross. I love that swinging strike rate that you just pointed out. It's really good. A bit of concern around the pitch, but it's up to 91 pitches, only 67 time. So they've let him go at times. Other times they've kind of kept him on the shorter leash. He's got a couple of starts in like the 780s there. But if I'm getting pitches at 5.8K or whatever it is, a guy who's been a little unlucky with strikeouts, I'm on board. And if we're going like premium Dodger stack, we're trying to in the 3 Houston studs, or maybe even potentially trying to play Houston and the Dodgers together, I think Joe Ross is completely viable.
I'm still getting some robot stuff there. Are you getting robots as well, Kirkwood?
Yep, and I know you're on edge, like wondering if it's you in the beginning, weren't you? When you heard the robot?
Yes,
yeah.
I thought it was me, and I'm like, it's me again. Unbelievable, because I've had some issues with my laptop stuff, and I have my laptop coming tomorrow. Tomorrow we should be debuting a brand new laptop.
Still isn't here yet?
No, it's here, but I didn't have a chance to open up out of the box. It showed up like a half hour before the show started, so great timing. But yeah, hopefully we'll get Keith and work with Kirkwood there as far as the robot, or we're going to power on through, but we will figure it out. We got stacks coming in as well. Some things in chat I wanted to talk about. Can you explain this? This is from Mamba, Kirkwood. Why is Eddie Rosario getting no love? Well, for starters, we're not talking about hitters just yet, but okay. And then he says, I'm up 15K with him this year. Does he go yard again? Yes or yes? Well, how is he? Is he just betting homer props? How is he? Was he on his best?
Or he shipped something and he's counting that. Or he shipped something and he's counting. Yeah.
Okay, he's had some good games. Yeah, good for him. Eventually, I think he's just keeping his seat warm for Alex Wood. I don't know when they're going to call up Alex Wood, but he's probably the biggest prospect in baseball that's yet to be called up, I think. One of the bigger prospects in baseball. He was involved in that Soto deal, which Washington did incredible retroactively. Just a loaner to San Diego, and they got three real pieces back. in Abrams. Gore's getting there.
If Rosario goes yard on Pablo Lopez, I will streak. I will streak Fenway Park. I will streak Fenway Park.
You don't have to do this. That's not something you absolutely have to do. This is something. I feel like this is something you've been wanting to do. Is that on the old bucket list for you?
Maybe.
And Bobby Gomes, he's already promised he'll bail you out. He's a good friend.
He promised he'll bail me out. I have fond memories of seeing a streaker at a game one time. And the craziest thing, it was at Fenway Park, and this dude did it, and they tried to catch him, and he climbed up the catcher's the net and got into the broadcasters, and he was able to make an escape. Yeah. I'm sure they got him. I'm sure they got him after that. But and he also, the thing that holds the net down, he was able to. He climbed he went to the sides all the way. Like he had what are those things like when you slide down? What are those?
Zip line?
I'm talking about. Yeah, zip line. It was like he had a zip line.
Well, what is it about us? The crowd, we're rooting for the anarchist, right? We're rooting for the guy to get away, aren't we? Like, why are we rooting for that guy? Yeah. We like seeing bumbling security.
It's just like Bobby. It's anybody watching the what's it? Bobby Durst. What's it? The my brain is jumbled today. The Bobby Durst show on Max, HBO. Of course. You know what I'm talking about. The Jinx.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're rooting for him. We're rooting for this guy who murdered 3 people.
It's the old John Mulaney joke. John Mulaney's got a joke about that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm still not fully caught up, so no spoilers.
But it's true. I think the guy's electric. I love him. It's.
You're calling him Bobby, which will throw me off because it's not. They don't call him. It's Robert Durst, I believe, right? Is what I guess.
They call him Bobby. They call him Bobby. You're not watching. And speaking of Bobby, we've got Bobby Fi here too.
What's up, Bobby Fi? There, he's answering your question as well. We also have round 2 of Keith. Keith is back from Parts Unknown. We got rid of his backdrop at least, if nothing else. But what's up, Keith? I think we're good to go.
Eric says, "How come women never streak?" Remember who are those girls that did the marketing thing and they were like flash? They were
look up Morgana the Kissing Bandit.
World Series.
Yeah.
Yes, it's happened before, but there was this one that was notorious that go around.
Like imagine arresting them. Like what? Like, come on. Like,
well, we live in a society. They're on the. I think they're on the World Series.
You gotta let some things go, Dean. And I think that makes the. I think that could.
Look up Morgana the Kissing Bandit. I think she was in the Prowl like in the 90s or something like that, and she was infamous for walking in the middle of the game.
Blonde? Was she busty and blonde?
Yeah. So you know what we're talking about. Yeah, you can Google that. I think it was. I don't think she took it too far. I don't believe it became like. I think they kind of embraced it, but I don't recall. All right,
she was the inspiration behind the chopped knockers. She was the little known fact.
I thought you're gonna do like a Bill Murray bit from Kingpin or something like that, because I feel like didn't she make an appearance or somebody like that made an appearance in that movie? Anyways, we're getting derailed. It's Movie Monday. It's already been guessed, but just for funsies, we'll throw out the rest of the clues. Several people in chat got it the second time around too. Good job, chat. You're that are making it way too easy for the people. We got to make it harder next Monday. What movie is it? Diner, sunglasses. Clue number 3 is now I'm trying to remember because I shuffled up my list and I sent it differently, but now producer Steve's going to go ahead. It's going to come scrolling across the wire. It's a big surprise, but clue number 3 is, I think it's heist. I'm pretty sure clue number 3 is heist. Okay. Can you get the summary, Keith? Is there anything you want to get out there as far as pitchers before we move on and talk about some hitters?
I can just go ahead and go over as long as you can hear me okay still.
It's a little touch and go.
No.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Maybe get the computer restart.
All right, here it goes. I'm fine with Framber tonight. I know he's chalk and people are going underweight. GPPs go underweight, sure. Small field GPPs, play him. I feel confident. That's fine with me. Tanner Hawk, I love. I love Taj. I like them both together. A lot of people don't like to play pitchers both together, so I think playing them together can be good for GPPs. Although it's not it's a lot more common than it used to be. Other than that, I think Joe Ross is the cheap guy that you give a shot to if you're trying to fit in some extra bats. There's risk there, but I think it definitely could pay off. Pablo Lopez on the high end, I think, is good. And I'm definitely not playing Marcus Stroman, at least at 8,300 on DraftKings.
But Seattle gives up so many strikeouts. But I'm probably not playing him either. So I can see both sides of it, but I'm probably not playing him.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem necessary.
Yeah. Correct. Reese Olson could be interesting at cheap, but I'm not going to make a strong case for it. I mean, people are playing Waka a little bit, but I think he's fine too, especially with Detroit. But I kind of like Detroit in this spot.
I think I had Detroit fourth on my rankings as far as stacks. I can go ahead and pull that up, but I'm fairly certain I ranked him. We got to rank 5. You know what? No, but they are on the board. I think they're my 6th team, and I just couldn't. I cut them, but yeah, I think they're interesting. And again, we keep talking about it. People what about Sonny Gray? I think Sonny Gray's fine. He's not my favorite. I'll go ahead and tell the people myself, Chop, Keith, Squirrel Patrol. Our consensus rankings are Pablo Lopez, Framber Valdez, Yamamoto, Bradley, Houck, Ross, Stroman. One person's got Stroman. One person has Sonny Gray. One person has Waka. But yeah, that is our consensus as far as pitchers. All right. Shall we do the old Gutless power rankings? You excited? Do you want to give the release?
All right. Yeah, let's talk about. So I've released it. Let me give the link in chat here. For those that didn't see Twitter or don't use Twitter, throwing it in now.
Is it on site? I tried to find it on the site, but I know
you're not gonna. You're gonna need the link. You're gonna need the link.
Okay, yeah, because I saw the link and I'm like, well, I don't know where. I'm just curious where to find it on the site, but it's not next to Cheese's article. It's not. Doesn't get. You just want to. You don't want to
It's gonna be. Level. Let me tell you something. It's gonna be. Once they see the numbers that this thing's gonna do. You kidding me?
Oh yeah.
This is gonna take over, Dean.
Through the roof.
This might actually be. This might actually be the article that you have to read along with Cheese's article. Might be something like that. We're in negotiations. We're talking about it now, but
I got bad news for you. You might. This might have been a kind of a Weasley move on my part, but I bought Gutless power rankings URLs already, so I'm way ahead of you, Kirkwood.
That's okay because I got patent pending on everything. So
I'm making that up, but it's not a terrible idea. Just sort of thought about that on the fly, but yeah, let's let the chat before we officially reveal the board. We're going to give our favorite stacks as well. Who does the chat think is the most Gutless team on the season? Because I'm always curious what the chat has to say. Butto Jenkins, by the way, you are correct. You guessed the movie correct, and I noticed all these movie clues also work with Reservoir Dogs. Didn't work out that way intentionally, but it's just kind of funny. It's not Reservoir Dogs, spectacular movie from Tarantino, but it's not Reservoir Dogs. And yes.
So let me get to it. So this is an advanced Gutless model. My advanced Gutless model is taking a long time. Basically, I pinpoint the players whose fortitude in the lower regions. You know what I'm talking about, especially you, Butto. Doesn't match their actual expectations, is how we've said it. Labeling them as losers. Right. And so I'm going to give our top picks that you guys should be staying away from. And we're going to do this every week. We're going to update it every week. We're also going to take your input. If you want to shout out, guys who are Gutless, if you want me to do individual players, we might do a top 10 players. If you have somebody, a stack that are absolutely Gutless, tell me on Twitter, tell me here. I'll take everything into consideration, but we're going to keep this thing fluid. And it's gonna be good. So right now we've got the Padres at number 1. Now, if you look at their stats, they're good. They're 11th in home runs, 28th in K percentage. They don't strike out a lot. WRC plus, I think they're 7th. But you know what? They're Gutless. So anybody who played them against anybody who gets swept by Colorado at home and never even in contention in any of the games, and had the season they had last season and all the big names and whatnot, like they are gutless number one.
Well, how retroactive is that stink is kind of the question, because you're referencing last year. And I thought it was
it's a proprietary algorithm formula that I have, and I'm not going to tell you how much it is, because this is we've done a lot of testing, and just trust me, this is right. Then we've got the Cardinals coming in too. STL Cards would have them number one, and he's a homer.
Sure.
We take that into consideration.
Could you be a homer for rooting for your guys to be more gutless than others? But okay,
it's crazy. It's kind of like Bobby Gomes. It's it's something like he's rooting every game the Celtics to lose. Doesn't get more gutless than that, huh? Your home squad.
It's tough seeing.
Yeah. So you get the Cardinals there. That lineup is good. Like, you look at it every year, you're like, this is potential. They should rake against left-handed pitching with Goldie and Arenado. Yeah, and then you got Lars Newport, and you got
Contreras is Dunzo, so that's a big deal.
Yeah, that hurts. But even when he was there, he was the only non-gutless bat. But Nolan Gorman, Donovan's are like so. This team should be a lot better than it. So
do you remember when the Cardinals? Like allegedly would not trade Dylan Carlson to close out the Juan Soto deal? Do you remember this? Like, we can't trade Dylan Carlson. We got to keep Dylan Carlson. We love Juan Soto, but we can't lose Dylan Carlson. Do you remember this story? That was a story. Allegedly.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to number 3. Shannon in chat thinks number 3 should be number 2, and so we'll consider that for next week. But the Blue Jays are definitely gutless. They're 27th in home runs. They don't K. They don't strike out a lot. So what's their excuse? They're 23rd in WRC plus. They've got big names. They've got guys that should. Everybody was excited for the future with Vlad, with Bichette. They've got Springer, and this team is as gutless as it gets. So they're there, and I hate that for my boy. I hate that for my boy TJ. I do. I hate that. I want them to succeed. But maybe this is what they need. They need somebody to show them the link that they're gutless. Maybe that'll be the fire that you light in front of them and get them going. So that's number 3. Number 4 is the Mets. We don't need to go. We don't want to upset Steve too much here. But all you got to do is check his Twitter timeline, and you'll understand that they're gutless. Just go back and look through his tweets on that. The
closer kept getting blown up. I don't know if you saw the Marlins game for Miami. The Marlins ended up putting a 4 spot on him in the bottom of the 9th. Edwin Rios, the Trumpets are really, really sad these days. Steve, Rios allegedly was, mock the guy. He was like crying in his locker room. He's had a rough week. It's been really bad scene.
Yeah, Diaz, yeah.
It's been rough. Well, he's coming back from like a really serious injury, and I guess maybe we shouldn't assume like he's just going to be fine and be like the elite closer he was, but that's not what he is right now. But did you watch that Marlins walk off by chance? The Josh Bell homer, to catch that, Steve? Because that was a tough.
No, I was at the zoo with my daughter, but I was checking the score and I was like, oh, nice, it's 7-2, and then I was like, the next thing I'm like, oh, nice, it's 9-5 in the 9th inning. I think they got this.
Mm-hmm.
And I got in the car to leave, and it's like, oh, they lost 10-9. I couldn't believe it
against the Marlins. But yeah, that's a tough scene for the Mets. And then lastly, did you have anything else, Steve? Did you want to give 30 seconds on your Knicks? But by the way, the state of the Knicks is, it was a hell of a run. You guys got the most out of you can get of that team.
What are we gonna do? No one could stay healthy.
Yeah. Tough scene.
I think no one could stay healthy. I think though we gave it our all. I think we were going to lose that game if Brunson didn't leave mid-game and got hurt. I think it was.
Yeah, they were done. Tibbs ran. That's what happens when he ran him to the ground, and you pay the price deep in the playoffs. That's what happened. But I had a nice. I was big on Minnesota. Yeah, I wasn't afraid of Denver at all, and
you must have felt miserable like in the start of the third quarter. You must have an interesting night.
I may have said gutless a couple times, but anyway, last on the gutless list, Mariners. It's just because they strike out too much. They can't get they just don't have big innings because they always lose it with strikeouts. And they have a good team. They should have a good team on paper. And then some dishonorable mentions where people said that Keith wanted the Diamondbacks up there and the Pirates. We don't do the really bad teams like the Rockies, the Angels, the A's, because we have no expectation for them. And like the A's are above and beyond expectation.
They don't have guts.
That's
Like
the
they have no, they can't be ranked for guts if they don't have them in existence or expectations of guts. Is that the thought process there?
That's the process.
Like, Marlins can't get ranked. I mean, even their GM says, like, we're not making the playoffs. This team stinks. Crunch time coming in about 20 minutes or so. We got Dave Potts as well as Taylor Smith. Weather-wise, we're pretty good. Last I saw as far as Roth's update. So unless something changes, we should be pretty clean when it comes to weather. We got to go through this pretty efficiently. It's just the two of us, though, so we'll be efficient about it. We have all the lineups with the exception of the late game, the Dodgers and the D-backs. Let's go ahead. I'm going to yield to you. If it's anything I vehemently disagree with, we'll discuss. Otherwise, it's going to be just going to be your board. Milwaukee versus Miami. The Marlins versus Milwaukee versus the Brewers. Where do we have the Brewers? Where do we have the Marlins? We didn't talk a lot about this. We talked about Joe Ross. Weather's on the other side. One of the few pitchers I think you just can't roster. I shouldn't say can't, but there's no way I'm rostering for the Marlins. Milwaukee is the favorite here in Miami. Not a great ballpark, but well positioned against Weathers and locked in for 9. Where do you have Milwaukee and Miami?
I would have Miami in the Mets tier. I believe that's where I would put them the second to worst, just because Joe Ross might get some ownership tonight, and so there is a little leverage there, but I'm not expecting much. And I think the Brewers probably in the same spot or maybe one ahead. The problem with the Brewers, I think the Brewers are definitely one ahead. It's just the problem is that the pinch hit risk on a lot of these guys is just besides not in the front at all. So I would play like the top 5 and feel pretty good about it, but the rest of those guys I worry about. But they are cheap. Like Owen Miller's cheap.
Joey Weimer's another big pinch hit risk. I was looking at that as well. But I do think Contreras is like a spend to be different. It's really interesting. We have some good catchers. We'll talk about Jeffers in a second.
Leading off too. Yeah,
well, Contreras hitting off and Jeffers hitting off. And both those guys have been two of the best hitters in all of baseball, not just catchers, but just hitters. And Contreras is not even the most popular catcher on his team because Gary Sanchez is cheap. He's a historic. And, just for salary cap concerns, he's easier to get in there. I would have, you got Milwaukee in the Blue Jays in the middle and the Marlins in the Mets. Is that correct? That's where I'm seeing the board.
Yeah.
Okay. I would consider Milwaukee up to the Cardinals, but I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight you about it.
No, if you want to say top 5, if you want to say top 5 batters, put them up one.
Yeah, let's put the Milwaukee in the Cardinals second tier.
Okay. We'll go with that.
I feel pretty good about Milwaukee and this Marlins team. Like Weathers is pretty rough. That bullpen's not spectacular. I know there is some pinch hit risk stuff, but I'm mostly going to stick to the top unless I absolutely need a punt. Minnesota, Washington, 7.5 is a total. Pretty big favorite there for the Twins, -160 in Washington. Another pinch hit risk thing, by the way. I'm trying. I was waiting for the lines to come out. I wanted to bet against Margot for hits because there's a really good chance he gets the hook. I'm trying to see, like, no Max Kepler starting this game, no Larnack starting this game. When Parker comes out, situation calls for it. Almost definitely a righty's coming in. Margot is going to get the boot, and he's in that 3 spot too. Like, he's like that fake, like, good cheap play today. Now, of course, if he homers in his first at bat, egg on my face. But that's just how that goes sometimes. Farmer's another one that's vulnerable sometimes when a righty comes in.
That reminds me.
So, go ahead.
It reminds me when you gave me Austin Slater under strikeouts as a bet, and because of the same pinch hit risk, and it won. But he had like 6 at bats. I think it went to like extra innings too. He was
scoreboard.
Yeah, you won though. It was a winner. It was awesome.
The last one where he got hurt after the first inning, I wasn't happy about him getting hurt after the first inning. But yeah, so what I will do many times, I'll bet under on walks, under on hits and under on strikeouts. And a lot of these guys get 2 at bats. So like you basically need the exacta box to go against you, where they have 1 at bat with a hit, 1 at bat with a walk, and also many times the books give you like positive juice in these numbers, especially when they're hitting up high in the order, because they don't do a great job of understanding that some of these guys might get pinch hit for, and some are more likely to get pinch hit for than others. But yeah, it's one of my little things I've been doing so far this year. Dodgers as well, but Minnesota against a lefty, I'm excited to play, see what the numbers are available to me when we get off this show. But yeah, Minnesota, Washington, a little bit of just a helpful hint when it comes to sports gambling. Also, check out Scores and Odds, for all your sports wagering player prop needs. We do. I derailed it. My apologies. Twins, Nats.
I kind of like Minnesota here in this spot. I like the park. I like the bullpen that they'll eventually get to. Mitchell Parker looked really good in the beginning, has struggled a little bit, and there's some reasons to be concerned with him in general. He's had a pretty poor fastball command, and he's been using less of his pitches. So it's down to like 3 pitches. He was working 4 before that when things were going on. So he's kind of losing command on a lot of his stuff. And I like Jeffers a lot. Like you said, I like Correa. I like Miranda. I don't know. I don't know what to think of Buxton at this point, but sure, why not? He's going to rebound. But yeah, you got to check the bat pinch hit risk on most of these guys just to be careful. On the other side, I don't like it. I don't want to mess with Pablo Lopez, and I don't really like the only one I really like on Washington is Abrams anyway, and he's too high price for a matchup against Lopez.
So we're throwing Washington and the Mets department and Minnesota in the middle, right there, hanging out with Toronto. Next game, Boston and the Rays, 7.5 total. I'll put coin toss.
I'll put Washington in the basement.
Okay. So Steve likes to play along and guess, and I'm looking at the board, and I wasn't sure if he did not adjust to what you said or not. So maybe he was just like, that's what was happening there, and we didn't quite catch up because I was looking at the board. And all right, now we go. We got it adjusted. All the way at the bottom there is Washington. Boston, Tampa looks like a low total here, 7.5. 2 better pitchers on the slates, I imagine. Both these stacks are going to be pretty low, but you tell me.
Yeah, Steve knows right there. Red Sox gonna just avoid the. You never know. Taj, working his way back. Maybe he has a bad start this time, but I'm on both of these starters, so I don't want to mess with either of them. And plus the Red Sox lineup. I mean, if you're gonna play, you can play Duran, you can play O'Neill, you can play Devers. You can do that as a one-off, either two. But other than that, I don't really like anybody. And then the Rays, I think Tanner's gonna mow them down here, so I don't want to mess with them. So that's fine.
Who's your favorite as far as those 2 pitchers? You said you like both. You have a lean as far as Bradley or Houck?
I think I have them even because of the price tag. I like Houck the best, but it's an all extra 1,100. $8K is very nice for this slate. But I still like. If I had gun to my head, I'll take Houck.
By the way, I see several people still guessing the movie. Let's just knock out the last of the clues. Let's just let the people know. But several people have already got it. Shout out to Bojangles. We had a winner guess it on 1. Diner, sunglasses, heist. Clue number 4 was toddler. So that's how you know it's not Reservoir Dogs. And clue number 5, chauffeur. So now it all kind of makes sense. And we know why Duck Fan 1981 took it down. Shout out to Duck Fan 1981. Won themselves 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium. I imagine producer Steve slid in and hooked them up, juiced them up. Congratulations. We'll run this back again on Monday. I believe Thursday, sometime later on this week, we're going to do the same kind of game, Kirkwood, but with athletes. That's when you get excited. This is a sports show. Why are we not doing this with athletes? That's what we're going to do. We're going to give away RG Premium, playing the similar game, not just movies.
So what was
athletes.
The movie? Do we announced
Baby Driver. You've seen Baby Driver, right?
I don't even know what it is. No.
Put it on the list, Kirkwood. Come on, stop. You've never seen Baby Driver?
Who's in it?
Kevin Spacey's in it. He's not the lead. Trying to think who the lead is in
I don't want to support that. I don't want to support that creep.
That's the first person that popped in my head that was in the movie, though. But it is not Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Driving Miss Daisy.
No, yes. Ansel Egort is the lead. There you go. Thank you, producer Steve, for helping me out with that. Could not quite get to his name for some reason. He's very good. But I highly recommend it. And it's streaming somewhere, almost definitely. You should definitely watch. John Barenthal, there you go. Barenthal's in it too, who's spectacular. Is John Hamm in it as well? Jamie Foxx is in it too. Yeah, it's a great cast. It's definitely worth watching. Okay. I've been derailed. What is the next game that we're talking about? Seattle. The Mariners taking on the Yankees. It's interesting. We never even mentioned Logan Gilbert when it comes to the pitchers. Maybe another slate, but it doesn't seem necessary, right? Just taking on the Yankees. It's just a question of am I stacking the Yankees or not? I don't really want to pick on Logan Gilbert, but I don't think I want to run it. I don't know. I'm not going to roster Gilbert against the Yankees. I'm just not doing it in the slate. There's two other options.
Flea is in this movie, huh?
Is he? Well, Flea pops up on some things. He played a nihilist in Big Lebowski. Of course, you remember that. But
he was with Keanu. He was in that surfing movie. Keanu Reeves surfing movie.
Point Break. Yeah, he was in Point Break as well. He pops up here and there. He's not like he gets little bit parts. Mariners and the Yankees. What do you got for me as far as the Mariners and the Yankees?
All right. Well, Yankees against anybody. Logan Gilbert is a good pitcher. Don't want to attack him, but you still want the upside of Yankees. So I'll put them right. Yeah, Steve nailed it right there in the middle. And I don't know. Seattle's gutless, man. I got to put them down a step. I like the idea of picking on Stroman a little bit, but and they probably won't. He's probably not the pitcher that's going to mow them down because he doesn't get a ton of strikeouts. But I like a mini stack there if I'm going to do it. So you can put
the lefties, right? Rowley and Rojas.
Really, all I want is Big Dumper, but Rojas is fine. Rayleigh's been actually doing well for home runs, but
and that's how you get the Stroman. It's a good ballpark for lefty power as well.
Put Seattle up even though they're gutless.
I personally would put Seattle with the Mets, and I would put the Yankees with the Cardinals. But this is your board more than it's my board. I think the Yankees are always interesting for tournaments, and they're like the kind of the pivot off the pivot off the pivot, and it's a short slate, and you're going to get the Yankees. I know Gilbert's not something we want to really pick on, but the Yankees are always in play to smash. Got to pick up the pace. Detroit, KC, 8.5 total versus Michael Wacha. What do you got for me?
I like Detroit. I think this is a good spot for him. I think Walker's going to get some ownership. I'm kind of higher on the Detroit offense in general. I like the pricing. So give me they're either Cardinals or Blue Jays.
I will say Blue Jays.
All right, that's fine. I'm not going to fight you on that.
We got them both in Kansas City. Oh, we got both Kansas City and Detroit in the middle with the Blue Jays, correct?
Yeah, Olsen is not someone I want. I mean, he's good, and although it is Mozzarella Monday.
Oh boy. Yeah, he came off the bench yesterday and cleared the bases with like a bases loaded triple. And the ball had to hit kind of funky for Vinny to leg out a triple. But I think there's a play at the plate, if I'm not mistaken. But coming off that rest day, we got Baltimore and St. Louis. St. Louis literally on the gutless rankings. Baltimore is not. Sonny Gray, one of the better pitchers this season. Great K rate this season. But Baltimore is a pretty tough lineup as well. St. Louis, slight favorite here, -130. Kramer versus Gray. Where do you have the Orioles? The battle of the birds, the Orioles and the Cardinals.
Yeah, so I'm going to give a lot of weighting to not messing on Sonny Gray. So he's awesome. So he had a 42% call strike whip in his last game, 9 Ks against the Angels, but he gave up a bunch of runs. But there were like no hard hit balls. It was like he got so bad it was crazy. And I felt I had him in that game. But his command is great. His walks are down. So I like the Orioles' offense is amazing, and they can get to anyone. But I still think that Sonny shuts them down here. So I'm gonna give them the respect to put them up one more to Blue Jays, just because they hit bombs, they hit dingers, and that's all we want.
Could we do like a watch along with Kirkwood? I feel like you'd be a fun person to watch baseball with because you'd just be tilting the entire time. That's something we got to set up one of these times. A live watch along with Kirkwood. That's something we can make happen. 1,000 likes, we get it. We get it done.
It would break the internet, Dean.
Derek is lobbing.
It'll have like 5. It'll have like 6 or 7 of my Doug Nation in there. We'll be in there with us.
What about both of us on a stream together?
Oh yeah. Let's get that.
Well, Steve and I would get spicy because I would start yelling at him for betting. Why did you take them? He's like, I told you. Like when gamblers start arguing with each other. That would be interesting.
Well, we gotta agree to be on the same play.
That's less fun for the audience, though, right? The audience probably would enjoy you guys yelling at each other, possibly. I don't know. I'm not sure what would be more interesting. But we have to organize that. We got to get that set up. Angels, Astros, 8 total. But, we're talking about a minus 220 favorite here for Houston, almost a 5-team total. I thought we were going to get McCormick back. He's not back. I guess he's going to come back tomorrow. I think he's on assignment right now, but I guess he's not there just yet. Detmers versus Framber. I pretty much never pick on Framber and all his ground balls, unless he gets absolutely BABIP, it's really hard for him to just completely implode. Angels, Astros, What do you got for me here, Kirkwood?
I mean, Butthole Jenkins just really came out with it. He said we need a Dean and Kirkwood hot tub stream. Maybe on
why is the hot tub necessary? I'm not opposed, by the way. Hot tub's pretty fun.
I mean, his name is Butthole. His name is Butthole Jenkins, so.
Bobby in chat says he likes betting against you. And how do you feel about that?
I mean, that's typical Bobby, just like betting against his home team.
Is he just engagement farming? Is that what's happening? I just fell for
betting
it.
Against his friends. I said this is what he likes to do.
Yeah. Well,
I'm all about camaraderie. I like getting the team, everybody on the same side.
Angels, Astros. Astros, I think one of the bigger, one of the more popular stacks on the slate. Usual suspects are in there again. No McCormick, but otherwise. Well, wait a second. Are they? Okay, Diaz is in there. He just looks like he dropped a little bit in the 8 hole. Angels and Astros. What do you got for me?
Put him at the top.
Houston all the way up and hanging out with the Padres.
Yeah.
And the Angels, are they hanging out with the Mariners or are they hanging out with the Mets?
Angels are hanging out with the Mariners.
Yeah, that's where I would put them too. Unless I missed it, we do not have lineups just yet.
I mean, this is the lineup that has Kevin Pillar batting cleanup. I can't get over that.
He's been pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I'm rostering Kevin Pillar, but he's been pretty good.
They've been overperforming. They absolutely have.
Yeah. The last game, again, it's kind of a sprint slate, not exactly, but the last game we have is Arizona and the Dodgers. No official lineups just yet. Again, Dodgers might do something a little bit goofy. Probably not, but they might with the lefty opener. Certainly they're going to play, the regular usual guys, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman up top. Smith is going to come back. He rested yesterday. But I'm just curious what they're going to do with guys like Lux and Hayward and Kike Enrique Hernandez. We'll see how that goes. But, yeah, they have a team total above 5 taking on Joe Mantiply, the opener, pretty sharp of Arizona, but they can only hide Slade Ciccone for so long. The other side of this game, Yamamoto taking on the Diamondbacks, team total of 3.3. That is pretty paltry. Where are we throwing the Dodgers and the D-backs?
I mean, the D-backs on the first of all, we should move the Cardinals up a step up a link for someone who said they can't believe I like them. I don't even think I even talked about them. They're gutless, but I do want to move them up because of the dew point there, and because I'm not so sold on Dean Kramer.
You got a Dean bias?
No, I'd rather have Dean Shavelson on my squad than Dean Kramer.
No, I not a lot of Gaia left in this arm.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be good. Wouldn't be pretty.
Do a little juice. You can do a lot of. You could really, wouldn't take too long to get you up to speed. All right, Diamondbacks. Dishonorable mention on the Gutless rankings against a really tough pitcher in Yamamoto. Can't really see it with them. So, yeah, I mean, the only reason I would put them in the Blue Jays would be because they do steal and they do go for it. But I'm going to put them in the Mets tonight. And the Dodgers up top. But I'll give my one tip for the start your lineups. If you're building your Dodger lineups, start it with Teoscar Hernandez and go from there.
Why is that? I'm not saying you're wrong, but tell me why is Teoscar your favorite player?
Because he's always low. He's always the low-owned Dodger.
So is Pages, by the way. Because his price is kind of creeped up a little bit.
And he's
the other one that's kind of.
He's finally hitting. But I'll tell you what, don't play Gavin Lux.
I've been saying this one for a while. Gavin Lux is not going to be on this championship team. Like if they're making a run, they're going to replace unless things kind of turn around for him quickly. I'm not rooting against him, but it's not been good. Like he shouldn't be on this team. They should have better options somewhere. We'll see. Stay tuned on that. But we're expecting he's going to play baseball tonight. Worth noting. By the way, we gave away RG Premium earlier in the show, and before I do this read, Load up your questions in chat. I believe crunch time's coming in about 5 minutes or so, maybe less. We'll see. They'll knock on the door, but if we have time for a few questions, we're happy to answer those. And also should read the final board. And as predicted, just 2 teams up top, 2 teams hanging out in the top tier with the Gutless Padres. That's Houston and the Dodgers. Next tier, all by themselves. All by themselves is Milwaukee. The tier in the middle is pretty heavy, right, with the Blue Jays. That's Minnesota, the Yankees, Kansas City, Detroit, Baltimore, St. Louis. Hanging out with the Mets is the Marlins, the Red Sox, Tampa, Seattle, Arizona. And all the way at the bottom with the Gutless Mariners, it's the Nats and the Angels. RG Premium, if you don't win it by guessing what right movie we're talking about, and shout out to Baby Driver was the answer earlier in the show. Kirkwood, next time we do a show, I want you to give me a review of Baby Driver. You got to watch Baby Driver. Like, seriously, put it on the list. It's really, really good.
I just checked it out. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's very, very good. It's like, people say that they don't make good movies anymore. It's in the last 8 years or so. It's really, really good. Yeah, but RG Premium.
I want the entire chat to watch Owning Mahoney. If I can do that.
That's a spectacular movie too. It's not my favorite Philip Seymour Hoffman movie, but it's really.
Can we do like a movie screening where we watch a movie all together virtually?
We're spending a lot of time together. Is this also in a hot tub or not in a hot tub?
Yeah. Who knows, right?
Oh man. I will watch any
couple drinks. Taylor just buzzed in. He's waiting when he saw hot tub. He heard hot tub. He's like, I'm here to party. Let's go.
Why don't I see Taylor? You see Taylor? You have access
He's
to
not
this?
on the screen. He's on the waiting. He's behind the scenes.
Oh, I don't look at that.
He's the first to arrive. You can always count on him.
Unbelievable. Okay. Do you want to tell the people though? Do you want to get the promo read out there? If you want to get yourself 6 months, you want to commit to 6 months, the RG Premium. That of course is NHL, PGA, NBA, MMA, MLB. I guess it's just CS, and they dropped the Go. WNBA, access to all the goods. You get a $250 discount if you want to commit to 6 months as opposed to going month by month by month by month. You just want to commit for month, cool. 1 month, you get $40 off for a limited time. All this stuff is in the description. The links are in the description. If you're not good with commitment, just a 3-day commitment, you can get yourself 3 days access to RJ Premium at $19.99 or $19.95. My apologies if I'm cutting off a few cents, adding a few, or it's $19.90-ish. There you go. All right. Any questions in the chat for us? I'm curious. You're making one lineup. Who's the stack that you're like most afraid of not having? Because you can't have everything when you're making one lineup tonight.
I mean, the Dodgers are the one. I mean, I don't care if they put. First of all, Mantiply is not very good in general, and they're going to give him. Okay, so these guys who hit left-handed pitching great are going to face the lefty for the first at bat. I could care less. The Dodgers, I think, should be our number one. Houston is number 2, but if I want to, I might try to get a little tricky with like Detroit.
That's mostly a salary thing with Detroit. It's just going to make stuff work.
I mean, I think I don't think Walker's very good. I mean, it's yes, it is salary for sure because you got like guys like Urshela, but I think like Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green, these guys have big upside.
They got better prices on FanDuel, I'll tell you that, as far as Green and Carpenter. They have much better prices on FanDuel. Certainly you can play them on DK as well. Jason in chat saying the Royals. Yeah, Michael's talking about Detroit being kind of expensive. Riley Green at $5K just feels like I know he's an up-and-coming prospect, and he's kind of getting there here and there, and he has moments. But I just have a hard time doing that. I like him more so as a little bit cheaper, but that also – you'll get a discount when it comes to ownership because everybody else sees the same thing. You have any homer calls?
I was looking at Cheese waiting in the background, and it just reminded me like, oh shoot, I gotta go look up a home run call right now. Let's see here.
How do you see Cheese in the background? Why don't I have this access? What is the equal? What is the wrench? I'm not wrench worthy.
Yeah, so you're an old level wrench. We've got the good wrenches over here.
Who do I got to talk to? I want to see Cheese in the background, just hanging out. I want to see Taylor just chilling.
So here's a gutsy call.
Yeah,
Rafael Devers hits his 6th home run in six games today.
Okay, but like you like the pitcher on the other side, right? So
I do. But you can always give up a solo shot. That's fine.
Yeah, you can thread the needle. We did that yesterday with Jolks. I had Jolks.
You know what I did? Yeah, I threaded the needle on when Pittsburgh. I think it was Friday or Thursday. Friday, or I think it was Thursday or Friday. I got a Nick Martinez homer and who's the guy that came from Oliveras? I got his homer against my pitcher.
Myron in chat is calling. I love the ambition. Otto Lopez is 12-1, a 12-1 homer for Otto Lopez. By the way, your kid Yahoo can never cooperate. I'm told, according to the chat, their sleep doesn't start till 7:00. They never
can't get it. They can't get it right no matter what. They can't. They even when they like go opposite, they're never right. I mean,
did you give any homer calls? Just give me the one. You don't want to go with a little more volume. You're just giving me Devers?
Spencer Torkelson is the number 2.
Okay. You're playing some Detroit. That's what I'm hearing.
4.1K down at 6. It's got
Yeah. It feels like a now or never for Torkelson. He's not quite got there as far as his prospect status, but there is some power in that bat, theoretically. Isn't Waka top of the dome? I didn't check. Isn't he kind of sort of like either neutral or reverse splitsy? Is that fair to say? I feel like he might be. Can you confirm or deny?
No, I cannot confirm or deny.
All right. Well, you know who might be able to confirm or deny. Maybe Taylor Smith. Maybe Dave Potts. And I don't know if Roth is with us. I'm not sure if Roth. Hopefully he is.
Roth is there. I see him. You can't see him. You don't have.
I don't have access. I'm not wrench worthy, unfortunately. But I'm thrilled that Roth is back. Let's talk to Roth. Let's go to crunch time.
Jesus, Dean, your internet is terrible.
I'm a consummate professional. I always show up. My internet's always working, and I have to deal with like Dean and Ice Keith. They're crazy.
You should have seen Keith. He was on the show earlier. And Keith is no longer on the show for a reason today.
Oh,
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but
It
my
happens.
internet does feel a little bit slow today for some reason. I don't really know why. I'm juiced up and everything, but we're gonna have a brand new computer for you tomorrow, Kevin. So the things are gonna be good. But more importantly, Roth, how are things for you and for Houston? It's been a rough 72 hours or so at least.
Yeah, I got lost power with the storm on Thursday. Tree crashed through my house. Not through my house, into my house would be a better way to put it. But I got power back last night. So things are looking up. We got the sweet song of chainsaws in the background. If you hear anything weird, it's chainsaws cutting trees down or cutting trees up. But you know what? Everybody's good. It's fine. It's not
a tree fell on the house. Is that what I'm hearing? A tree fell on the house?
Oh yeah.
You gotta check Twitter.
Yeah, where you been?
Or did I see it on Facebook? I don't know.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And you have footage of this, or just I guess the aftermath, I suppose.
What? You think I was there recording when there was like 100-mile-per-hour winds?
Well, I know you're a big fan of Twister. I know it's like one of your favorite movies, so maybe you're inspired. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, we had the family. Thankfully, put them in the closet, and it got really nasty. I think there was well over 1 million people in Houston without power. I am no longer in that list, and that's what really counts.
Yeah.
So, now
hopefully everybody else gets it too. But welcome back.
By the way,
new
Twister coming out. Bobby Gomes pointing out. Are you so excited?
Twisters. Yeah, I believe they added an S. And I don't think Helen Hunt's going to be in it or whoever else was in the original. It's a reshuffle. So and there's going to be multiple Twisters.
You guys didn't know this, but Head Chopper's been down at Ground Zero chopping trees, helping out in the community.
That's good.
Seriously.
He's from here, so
yeah.
Man of the people.
Antonio, I think, area.
No, he's from Houston. He's from Galveston.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Baby Driver before? Anybody seen Baby Driver? Because Kirkwood has not seen it. And I'm trying to get him to see Baby Driver. It's a good movie.
It's really good. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's really
all right.
Really
now
good.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
It's fan freaking tastic. Just like get ready for a good time. Go in with a good mindset and have fun.
Now I don't want Kirkwood to see it because he wouldn't see it when I recommended it. But now since all of a sudden he gets raw stamp of approval, like, oh yeah, now top of the list. Now it's just insulting. But I saw Dave, you lit up a little bit too. You're a fan of Baby Driver?
Oh yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen a bad movie with Kevin Spacey in it. I don't know if those exist, but everything about that movie was good.
It's a
He's
very
going
good
through
movie.
a tough time right now. He's going through.
All right. Well,
Maybe
we're going to
he's-
see.
maybe
Let's
he's
segue to crunch time. Myself and Kirkwood do appreciate you watching the first portion. We're going to step aside and get out of here. My terrible internet. Kirkwood as well. We do appreciate y'all. Hit the like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Some of y'all didn't know we were starting at 4:30 because you didn't subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so you know when we're going to go live because, funky slate, 6:40 start time. It's crunch time.
I think he tossed to me. I don't know. His internet's so terrible, but welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed crunch time. It is the show where we bring on the show of Walmart Connection is now over. Hopefully our internet holds up. Otherwise, that'd be embarrassing after shitting on Dean. Welcome to it. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got my guy Taylor in the house. What up, Taylor?
Not much. Glad you're back. I have a lot of my whole family lives in Houston, so they were dealing with the same thing, power outage and all that stuff for days. So
here's just briefly, I will say, if you get a tornado, they are small, right? A tornado typically, not the ones you see in the Midwest, they'll impact a few homes or part of a neighborhood. Straight line winds of 100 miles per hour. It's like the entire major city, millions and millions of people getting slammed by 100-mile-per-hour winds. It was like a hurricane. It was freaking crazy.
And it kind of came out of nowhere, right? Like it wasn't something that was highly anticipated.
I mean, you never really anticipate that, but there was a tornado watch. There were signs here, but that was a historic storm. So it was pretty crazy, but hopefully your family's good.
Yeah, they're fine.
Okay. Glad to hear it. We got Dave Potts. Cheese is good in the house as well. What up, Cheese?
I'm glad the tree didn't fall in the house mid-show because you would hear about that forever. Glad you're okay.
Yeah, I'm glad. I too am glad I wasn't recorded at the scariest moment of my life like you were when lightning struck your home, and we just have the freeze frame of Cheese of Cheese's face as his house was struck by lightning, and it is amazing. And every time I laugh at it, and I feel bad because I love you, but it's.
I'm just here to bring joy to the people, however that needs to happen.
Yeah,
we're glad that you are back.
Yeah. Bobby Gomes had a question about the movie about Baby Driver, and I'm not going to repeat the question, but I will aggressively nod to the yes. That is exactly yes. That do that. With that said, let's dive into this slate. There's no weather concerns. I had someone tweet me being like, I'm here in St. Louis. They're calling for hailstorms from 5 to 8. Seems problematic. I don't see anything. I don't think there's any problems anywhere. I fully expect a clean slate with no weather issues. So, and that's nice. I don't need the weather stress today. So with that, we can kind of just kick it along to pitchers. And Cheese, if you want to give me the breakdown, slate breakdown, pitcher breakdown, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, there are a lot of good pitchers on this slate, which therefore there's not a ton of great offense that, the top offenses there's a couple, but there's no like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to play all of this offense. But pitching, there's a lot of ways you can go. I've narrowed my pool down significantly just because I want to. Like, you can play 12 pitchers today and you're fine. But wow. I don't want to do that many. So there's quite a few very good pitchers that I'm just not playing. Up top, we have the pricing is also a little different, but starting with DK pricing, you've got Sonny Gray, Yoshi Yamamoto, and Pablo Lopez are the three priciest ones. I have no Sonny Gray and like maybe one Yamamoto, and I'm not anti them at all. Like they're great, and I think they'll be good. I don't think they're that much better than anything that's cheaper than them. And you can really use that salary. So I had like one lineup where I was just sitting on it and I had like 10-6 left. I was like, I guess I'll play a Yamamoto. Like I like him or Gray enough to not like, I'm not going to leave $2,000 on the table to play Taj Bradley ahead of Sonny Gray, but I can just use that money. So Gray and Yamamoto, totally fine. I'm not really playing them. I do like Pablo Lopez a lot on DK. And I should also say, really the ownership's going to be pretty spread out. I do think we kind of have Framber Valdez, Taj Bradley, pseudo chalk on DraftKings. And I would say those are probably the cash game pairing, unless like Lopez, Bradley, and Valdez. I think those are the three you're choosing from for cash games. And I also like Tanner Houck a lot. So before I go down to the cheap stuff, let me stop and say my primary pool of semi-expensive guys is Lopez, Bradley, Houck, and Valdez in that order. On FanDuel, I have a little more Yamamoto because he's cheaper, but I still prefer Lopez and Bradley.
Okay.
Then on the DK side, mostly, well, at FanDuel as well, Michael Wacha is just like plain old pretty good pitcher in a pretty good matchup at a very good price. Like there's nothing magical about him, but he's one of those like you're usually going to be fine. Sometimes gets upside from innings, but you're just like you're playing him for salary.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could kind of say the same thing about going to even cheaper with Joe Ross in Miami. Nothing great about Joe Ross, but he's something kind of close to an almost average pitcher, and he's cheap and he's in Miami, and that's just what that is. If you really wanted to play Ryan Weathers on the other side of that game, you can. He's been good in real life the last couple starts. I think Ross is a little better pitcher and his matchup's a little better, so I would just play Joe Ross. But if you want more punts, feel free.
What was the Weathers price? Just because I want to play him.
Yeah, so he's 55 and Ross is 58.
Yeah.
And then I would also say in that same way, you can pivot from Ross to Weathers if you want. You could pivot from Wacha to Reese Olson in that game if you want as well. Like they're also pretty similarly skilled pitchers. I don't really want to pick on Kansas City, just like I don't really want to pick on Milwaukee. So I'm playing the chalkier Wacha and Ross, but I don't think either are really chalky because it's not that hard to get the expensive guys.
Yeah.
Like if we had like one of these slates where there's 40% owned Joe Ross, then I would say, yeah, let's pivot to Ryan Weathers. But I just don't think we have that. So
I got you.
I'm just using Wacha and Ross as the cheap guys.
Yeah. Can we talk about your kind of pairing? Is it generally one of the more expensive dudes, one of the cheaper dudes, or are you all over the board?
I'm totally all over the board because you really, outside of the high-end Dodgers stack, you can really do almost whatever you want. Like you can play Bradley and Valdez together pretty easily and still stack like Houston or something.
Okay.
So yeah, I have every possible combination. I forgot to mention that when I saw the question in Discord on FanDuel, Marcus Stroman is super cheap. Like he's a full X button for me on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is playable on FanDuel because he's that cheap. I still prefer Wacha over Stroman, but I would not argue with you if you play Stroman in that spot.
Okay. Dean, by the way, dropping the Dodgers lineup here. Bets Ohtani, Freeman, Smith, Hernandez, and Rojas.
So the only change from that is Rojas instead of we had Lux projected. So otherwise, that's the lineup.
Okay, very good. Let's kick it over to Taylor. I'm intrigued. Do you have this big Cheese? Cheese, how many pitchers do you have in your pitcher pool?
If you don't count like the one Yamamoto that I have, like I'm actually playing 6 pitchers for the most part, but I've got like at least 10 that I would tell you are totally fine to play.
Okay.
Maybe even 12. But I'm not quite playing all of them.
I got you. Okay. So with that, I want to kick it to you, Taylor. How many pitchers do you have in your pool? And do you agree there's like 10 or 12 dudes that are totally acceptable here?
Yeah, there are like 10 or 12 you can definitely play. I have more like 7 to 8 in mine in like a 150 set. For the most part, I'm kind of going cheaper. Like I have some Sonny Gray, but he's 10K and facing Baltimore, like not the greatest spot for him. Yamamoto 10-5 against Arizona. Not like he's good, but he's also not really a guy that seems like he's going to have a ton of upside every night. He's not Glass now necessarily. So I think he's a bit overpriced for that matchup against Arizona. The guy that I have the most right now is Taj Bradley. just because he's 8K at home against Boston. Pretty high strikeout lineup. Good enough pitcher, even if he is semi-limited, as all Rays pitchers tend to be. But it's more a salary thing than anything else, I think. The cheap guy I am getting to the most is Weathers. I don't like it, but he's at home in a good park. Milwaukee has a really high strikeout lineup tonight, 29.9%. The lineup this season against lefties. Small sample on some of those guys, but not a very imposing group. So I'm kind of just punting that and paying up for bats a lot. Got some Waka, got some Ross. Framber Valdez is the other semi-expensive guy that looks decent, but again, he's not generally a big strikeout guy. The Angels don't have the highest strikeout lineup either, so it's not a perfect spot for him. The guy I don't have enough of, in my opinion, that I would like to get more of is Houck. A little bit more expensive than Valdez, but good park for him against Tampa Bay. He's a good ground ball pitcher, just like Valdez, and Tampa Bay has a pretty high ground ball lineup, so it's a good spot for him. Second start in a row against them, I think, but I'm fine getting there tonight. I'm not really getting to Yamamoto, Lopez, or Gray too much tonight.
Okay, very good. You mentioned you're paying down a pitcher because you want the bats. Should I assume that means high-end Dodger stacks, Houston stacks? Where are you going stack-wise?
Houston stacks against Detmers certainly look great. In addition to his power issues, he's also a guy you can run on, so there's still on base upside for some of them. The Yankees at home against Logan Gilbert. He's obviously a good pitcher, but that's a pretty stacked lineup that seems to be kind of flying under the radar at home tonight against him. He's also not overwhelming in terms of strikeouts, so I think that lineup looks pretty intriguing. Dodgers, of course, against Ciccone and the Diamondbacks bullpen. Seattle against Stroman, I think, is a pretty good stack too. Kind of a decent value stack against him. Ground ball guy, not a big strikeout pitcher. Obviously, that lineup is striking out a ton, but good power also. And the park boost, I think, makes a difference. So largely paying up for stacks and then avoiding teams like Milwaukee and Minnesota that seem to be kind of pulling ownership, presumably for people that are building with more expensive pitching combos.
Okay, perfect segue into you set that up. You set that up, didn't you? Perfect segue, Cheese. You mentioned you've got some expensive pitcher pairings. You've got some cheaper ones. Where are you going stack-wise? Oh, I think you're muted. Yeah, you know it. You're looking for the mute button.
Yeah, I was planning to drink some water really loudly, so I'd muted.
Are you a loud swallower?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Yeah, I mean the Dodgers, like that's the top team. It's all pretty close. But to me, like at least the top five for the Dodgers, is if you can afford them, don't bother to overthink it. I also love Houston, and I think there's nothing really sneaky about that. But it's going to be so spread out. And like Taylor mentioned, I really think the Brewers and the Twins might even be the chalk. I have some stacks, but I'm more kind of picking out a few bats here and there from those teams, rather than full stacking. And yeah, everything else is just kind of I don't know. You can throw that in there. You know, Yankees and Mariners are both sort of on the list, but I don't love anything other than the Dodgers and the Astros, and I don't think they're going to get so much ownership that it's like skewing the whole slate.
Especially when pitchers are so spread out and people are picking between 12 different pitchers, right?
Yeah, it's just not clear to me what the chalk build is.
Yeah,
and it might even be as much expensive pitchers with Twins and Brewers as it is cheap pitchers with Dodgers and Astros.
Okay, very nice. Anthony says, "Hey, I just joined. Well, first off, you're late, but it is a weird timing, so we're going to forgive you. Who is SP1 and 2? And Cheese, I think you mentioned in cash you did have a pairing that you think is maybe the go-to, but that there's options.
I mean, there are so many ways you can go without it even being remotely wrong. I think I would play Bradley and Valdez in cash, unless you can pretty easily get up to Pablo Lopez.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. With that, we've done some pitchers. We've done some stacks. We're going to go around the horn, talk about the bats, and we start at the catcher position. Cheese.
It is so good here. Like I'm not even kidding. If there were no positions, we just got to pick players. I would have 5 catchers in my primary lineup.
I love that.
It's legitimately fantastic. I'm going to say Jeffers, Cal Raleigh, and Gary Sanchez are the 3 that are most jumping out to me. But I love Contreras, Smith, and Perez as well.
Mm-hmm.
And in stacks, I love Diaz in the Houston stack, Rutschman in a Baltimore stack, even Fermin in the Kansas City stack. But Jeffers, Raleigh, and Sanchez are the 3 that I'm kind of going out of my way to make sure I'm playing. And it's another day I have quite a few double catcher lineups on FanDuel.
Gotcha. Okay. Taylor, your thoughts at catcher? Same. Play the good.
Yeah,
dude.
pretty much. I don't think stacking the Angels against Framber like a mini stack is insane today. Logan O'Hoppe hitting 5th, decent enough hitting catcher, I think is fine in a stack. Jake Rogers in the Tiger stack, Ivan Herrera if you're stacking the Cardinals. Sal Perez, I assume, is not really going to get a lot of attention today. Obviously, he's one of the top plays at the position every night. Yeah, there really is a lot to like here, which is quite the departure from like every other year ever before.
Right. Okay. How about first base, Taylor? What do we like there?
First base, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, top of the charts plays, both of them. Ohtani might be more useful in the outfield. John Singleton, lefty against Detmers. Detmers has had kind of a reverse split, so I'm not scared of the matchup for Singleton or the rest of Houston's lefties.
Does Singleton ever get it done, or is he the guy that we just keep playing because he should, in theory, get it done in a stack?
He's weirdly been a lot better since they sent Jose Abreu back to the Sun. Like, I feel like he's kind of resurgent.
Yeah. Okay.
He doesn't often get it done, but he's cheap and he plays first base, so that's fine.
All right.
Spencer Torkelson, I don't mind the Tigers against Michael Wacha, another reverse splits guy. Torkelson, pretty good power source. Vinny Pino Royal stack. Dom Smith, I guess, would be a punt, but not super huge on Boston against Taj Bradley. And then Arizona is another team. If Yamamoto is going to be somewhat popular, Christian Walker with I think Yamamoto is another guy that projects for a reverse split from the right side. So Walker against him looks pretty good in tournaments.
Okay, great. Cheese, your thoughts?
Yeah, my main thought is I don't like this position, which leads well into the let's just play the Dodgers and play the only really 2 good first basemen there are. I definitely want a few pivots to Christian Walker, Vinny P, Josh Bell a little bit on the cheaper end, and Goldie on the cheaper end. It's fine, but like it's pretty much like Ohtani is in a tier of his own, and then Freeman's in a tier of his own, and then this huge drop to everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I think we're overthinking it. So play the Dodgers.
Play one of the guys that's in a tier of their own, essentially. Yeah. All right. That is easy enough. How about second base, Cheese?
It spreads out a little bit at second. Like Altuve is clearly the best play, but he's pretty pricey. At some point, you'll have to make a decision on which expensive guys you're getting. Altuve does not end up really being a priority for me. I think on DraftKings, Joey Ortiz is weird chalk. I mean, I think he's good too. Like I don't think he's even bad chalk. It's just kind of weird chalk. You can play him at second or third on both sites, and actually have him at third as much as at second. I think Nolan Gorman is the other cheapish guy that'll get some ownership, and I have him on his own as well as in stacks. Michael Massey's in a few lineups. Otherwise, I think everything else is in a stack. Josh Rojas here or there as well.
Okay. Taylor, second base.
Yeah, I think on FanDuel you can play Mookie here. On DK you can't, which is not ideal. Altuve, Nolan Gorman, the 2 that stand out the most to me. Ketel Marte, I mentioned Walker Marte from the left side, but don't mind that. Colt Keith is another cheapie I think is fine against Waka for Detroit, hitting 7th. And, Gleyber Torres if you're stacking the Yankees, of course. But, yeah, there's really not a lot at second base that looks too appealing, honestly.
Okay, how about third?
Third, similar stuff here. Alex Bregman, obviously Astros, probably the team I'll be getting to the most tonight. He is third base for them. Gio Urshela is hitting 5th for Detroit, and he's cheap. I think that's okay. John Birdie buried in the 9 spot for the Yankees. Michael Garcia, decent value leading off for Kansas City. And otherwise, it's just kind of stacking. I don't think anyone's playing Devers tonight. Jose Miranda, I guess, is okay, but he's, as of now, I think he's the most chalky player at this position, which is more kind of questionable chalk, I think. Yeah, it's kind of gross at third again.
Okay, Cheese, chalky Miranda.
You don't want
reading them your rights.
Jose Miranda and Joey Ortiz chalk night. You don't love it. Yeah, but who are you playing? Like, I understand why they're chalk, because who are you playing at these positions? Like, I kind of like some Jake Berger, just an upside play who nobody's playing. Arenado for the same reason, because like there's just kind of nothing here, and it's not super expensive. Like, you're not really saving all that much to go with the cheap plays. It's like $800 or $900 on DraftKings is what you're saving. But for the most part, I'm playing a third baseman in my stack. Like, this is what catcher usually is.
Yeah. Okay. Then how about shortstop?
Yeah. Now we're playing baseball as per usual. I think for the salary, Willy Adames is my favorite play. Betts and Witt are my 2 favorite plays, like everybody else, if you have salary. Like Taylor mentioned, definitely play Betts at second on FanDuel if you can get 2 of these guys or even 3 of them. But I definitely have more Adames than anyone else because salary is at least a little bit of a thing. But even with those 3 guys up top that I'm just crazy about, there's plenty more. Like, always play a super low on Gunnar Henderson in any matchup for any reason.
Mm-hmm.
You could even say the same about CJ Abrams. And then guys like Volpe and Pena are going to be key parts of their stacks. So it's pretty sketchy to be punting at short. I mean, every now and then in a full stack you might, but basically get up to at least Adames, if not one of the better guys.
Okay, great. Taylor, shortstop.
Yeah, a lot of the same guys. Obviously, Bobby Witt stands out if you're stacking Kansas City. Even if you're not, find one off, I think. Carlos Correa in the middle of the Twins lineup against Mitch Parker. Don't mind that. Love the Henderson call. Mookie, of course. Pena if you're stacking the Astros. Don't really want to use Javier Baez at shortstop, but Michael Wacha, in theory, is not going to be striking anyone out. So
except for
Javier Baez. If he's striking anyone out, it's Javier Baez 4 times. But maybe he can make contact once, and that's all you need.
Okay, very good. How about the outfield? What are we doing there?
Well, let's see. Aaron Judge against Logan Gilbert. No qualms with that. Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker, lefty-lefty against Detmers. I mentioned his splits being fine, and they hit lefties to begin with. So both of them look fabulous. Ohtani you can play here. Juan Soto and Giancarlo Stanton, 2 more expensive Yankees. Kind of like Jake Myers as a cheap value in that Houston stack. He's been hitting pretty well this season for them. Joe Adele, I guess. Cheapy Taylor Ward if you're stacking the Angels against Framber. Riley Green leading off for Detroit against Waka. I don't hate Arizona, like I've said. Jock Peterson and Corbin Carroll would be core plays in any Arizona stack for me. And yeah, there's tons to like here, and there's really no way to go wrong in outfield.
I mean, yeah, I could go wrong. I could figure out a way to make it go wrong. But Cheese Ice, there is 20, 30 legitimately good plays here.
And the expensive ones are great. I just before I forget, I don't want to let something like this pass by. Did you notice that Taylor at shortstop dropped that you could play Correa against Mitch Parker? Mitchell Parker, the rest of us, but when you know him like Taylor does, it's Mitch Parker.
Mitch, that's your boy, Mitch. Woo.
So Ohtani to me is the spend up to start with. And Kyle Tucker is second, and Aaron Judge is third, and then Alvarez, and then Soto, and then Jazz Chisholm. It's a lot of names, and you just play all of them, and they're all fantastic. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like I need to be stacking these guys, and I don't feel like Tucker and Alvarez have to be on the same teams. I don't think I need Judge and Soto and Stanton all paired together. Like, they're all facing good enough pitchers, other than maybe the Dodgers, that it's still not likely that the Astros or the Yankees score like 12 runs with 7 homers. It's more likely you get these guys just great hitters, so one of them hits a couple homers. Mm-hmm. The mid-tier is pretty good too. I mentioned Stanton. Like, we've got, I think Taylor mentioned Taylor Ward. But as far as the cheap stuff, I like all of the Royals. I like Jake Myers. And then the cheap Seattle outfielders, Canzone as being my favorite. Yeah. Play 3 outfielders and you've got 3 good ones.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Easy enough. Guys, we want to give out some home run picks as well. Did get another question on St. Louis weather. Stan says, well, how's the weather for St. Louis? I don't understand why I'm getting so many questions on it. I think it looks 100% not even a drop of rain. But when like 7 people ask me the same spot, I'm just curious. I don't know where they're getting that, but I think it's fine. It's the bottom line. I don't expect any problems anywhere. So play
Kevin, I'll check weather.com and I'll let you know if you're correct or not about your
Thank you. That would actually be good, because maybe that's the source that
maybe that's it.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but people seem very worried about a spot that I don't even think is.
Even weather.com thinks it looks great tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks good. Here we go.
One scattered thunderstorm.
I see. Apparently, the lineups page on RotoGrinders shows yellow. The lineups page just goes off like an automated forecast from who knows where. So, okay, that makes sense. But it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. That makes sense, though. All right, at least we know.
Well, the yellow's in Kansas City.
Oh.
On the lineups page.
Well, neither of them should be yellow. I think both games are going to be fine.
Everything's great in Missouri. Is there any part of Missouri that needs to be worried tonight?
Yeah.
Get back to us
we're
later.
All good in Missouri here. Yeah, no matter where you are. Let's do some home run calls. And Taylor, I will let you lead us off. What do you got for us?
Oh, fabulous. I will take Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
I quit.
Just snaked it.
And I will sign off for the day.
Okay.
Let's see.
I was going to away with that.
Cal Raleigh. And
Taylor, let Taylor go second. Because those are my 2. I'm out.
And I had one more. Christian Walker.
Okay. Cheese. Besides Shohei and Cal Raleigh, who would you like for some home runs?
I was going to give you 3 catchers. I'll just give you 2. Gary Sanchez, Ryan Jeffers, and Cal Raleigh. I'll give you 3.
Yeah. All right. We'll take it. All right. Let's see. I believe Locke is at 640. Is that correct?
Yes.
That seemed right to me. All right. We got 18 minutes. We'll take some QQs. If we run out of them, we'll just call it an extra early day. Cheese can go get some dinner going on. Let's see what we got. By the way, if you haven't hit the thumbs up button, what are you waiting for? It's free content, and we just need the likes and the subscribes. We're getting more and more viewers every single time we do this, and that is a good trend, and it requires those thumbs ups to make that happen. Let's see what we got. FanDuel Cash. Cheese, I'm starting with you. Stroman or a Yamamoto?
Yamamoto.
D-Rock says, weather question. I'm intrigued. Everything else being equal, which is better hitting weather? 80 degrees with a 65-degree dew point or 85 degrees with a 60-degree dew point? Basically, does the dew point trump the heat? Or if you're looking at it that much, you're already doing it wrong, I think. But heat, it's wind and heat up here, unless it's in Chicago, then it's wind. Yeah, but generally wind and heat up here. Everything else is, a far distant tiebreaker in my opinion. Cheese, is that fair?
So the answer to his question is 85 degrees is better than 80 degrees, regardless of the slight change in dew point.
That's how I feel. Yes, but you're probably over. I don't even know if I'd go that deep, but yes, that is my personal feel, and I think the numbers would bear that out as well. Amateur hour DK single entry GPPs. Taylor, straight up, Hauk or Lopez?
I'll side with Hauk. Lopez might project better, but I would take Hauk.
Okay, we'll go to Razzle Dazzle, and this is also for Taylor here. Best outfielder, DK Cash, 3,100 or cheaper.
3,100 or cheaper. Outfield.
And I'm not going to go to another question for Cheese because we've got time to kill. So you got to eat this one.
Luke Rayleigh, perhaps. That's probably where I'd go.
Okay, great. DK GPP, Cheese, Freeman, or Teoscar?
The answer is Freeman, mostly because he's a first baseman and Teoscar's an outfielder. And they're really close, and I would coin toss it, but you can fill that outfield spot easier. So play Freeman.
Okay, great. This is an interesting question, and by that I mean maybe a really difficult one. I don't know. Greatness says, Cheese, FanDuel Cash, your top 4 batters. Like, are we allowed to just say like Ohtani and Tucker and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm just making something up if I try to answer that. Like, Freddie Freeman is one of them because he's 3,400 and he's his first baseman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to answer that question. Like,
I think that's fair.
It's putting too much weight on half of a lineup.
Right. There's 50 awesome plays, and just picking out 4 of them just it's going to skew people the wrong way. What else do we got? DK Cash, Cheese. I'll give you this one. 2v2. Bregman, Margot, or Miranda Pages?
Miranda Pages.
Okay. Wow. I really thought that one out. By the way, Greatness says, hey, I apologize. I didn't mean to put you in that spot. That's okay. No, it's okay. But thank you. That was very kind of you. I like that guy. That was excellent. 3 FanDuel lineups, 3 different pitchers in a GPP. You cool with that, Taylor?
Yeah. Getting as different as possible between lineups makes sense in a tournament.
Yep. And then also, does Devers get 6 in a row tonight? Does he have home runs in 5 games in a row or something?
I don't know. Let me look.
I think I heard that earlier. So no, he does not get 6 in a row.
He does have five straight. Yeah.
Yes.
Only
6.
One of those games has more than just that one hit, which is fine. I mean, that doesn't matter. It's funny to me when you see that. It's just like hit a home run or don't. And
right. Yeah. Like, you're the greatest hitter ever because you've done this 5 times in a row, but every other at bat, you've absolutely sucked.
But it is like, that's the one game no one's playing any batters at all. So it is interesting to throw Devers or Tyler O'Neill or Brandon Lau or something in the MME mix, just because like that's an unowned game for hitters.
Yeah. Okay. This is we're gonna do it. The Grinch says, I missed the pitcher talk from Cheese. Could we get a run through on DK pitching real fast? Can you? It's a lot, but do you think you can try to condense everything that's going on?
Sure. Real fast is going to be tough. Essentially, play any of the expensive guys and you're fine. Personally, I'm starting with Pablo Lopez and or cheaper. The cheaper being, I would do Valdez and Bradley in cash. I prefer Hauk over Valdez in tournaments. And then I'm playing a good bit of Waka and Joe Ross on the cheaper end. And that's fast. There you go.
Great. That was wonderfully done. Okay. Large field DK GPP Taylor to get a full Dodger stack. What are your thoughts on Miranda and Aranda as one-offs?
Yeah, Miranda is going to be pretty popular. I don't think Aranda will be. That's fine, I think.
Okay. I think you have to play them both just for the rhyming there.
Symmetry.
Doug says, hey, Cheese, congrats on taking down the skipper on DK. last week? He says he thinks it was Thursday. Do you know when you took down the skipper?
I would not have guessed that I did, but thank you. Yes.
I love that.
That sounds made up. I don't believe that's even it.
I'm not sure if this is a bit where you like pretend you don't know that you won. I really believe it. I really think you
No, I
just
really
know.
don't. But I mean, but really, I'm pretty sure the skipper is the $25 single entry.
Okay.
I think that's what
I know that we both,
I probably wouldn't notice that.
you and I
honestly,
both
think.
won that within like 3 days of each other. I remember.
Is that what was your Matt Carpenter lineup?
Yeah, we both had a Matt Carpenter take it down.
Matt Carpenter
Nice.
then won the skipper twice last week.
That's amazing. Yeah. All right. The carp is the key to the skipper. Jumping into the YouTube chat, seeing what we've got there. But as I do that, we should note there's never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. Got a bunch of sports, got an option for whatever level you're looking for. 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price $469.99. That's a savings of $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium. You can also get your first month of RG Premium $40 off for a limited time. That's a great deal too. And then if you just want to do a little test run, dip your toes in the water, 3-day pass, $19.99. Check the link in the description for more info. Let's get a few more of these questions here in the YouTube chat. Thoughts on Taylor Kramer versus the Gutless Cardinals? Kramer versus the... I thought it was a guy named Gutless. I had to put it together. Kramer versus the Gutless Cardinals.
I think there's enough pitching to where I don't really think he's necessary. It's not a good matchup. Not a high strikeout lineup. I don't really have Kramer tonight.
Okay. DK first base. Right back to you, Taylor. Gallo or Singleton?
Singleton.
So, like in my mind, Singleton is like a Gallo, where we constantly want to play him because he's cheap and we know he can hit home runs. But it to me seems like he has not been hitting those home runs, and maybe I'm wrong.
He hasn't played enough ever to even know.
Okay.
Like he's
He
played
was
like 30
out of
games
baseball
this year.
for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So like, I mean, realistically, he's not that much different than a Joey Gallo. He doesn't strike out that much.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like he's never actually done anything in the majors, but hasn't really had a chance.
Okay.
And which is weird because he's old. Like he's also not a prospect. He's over
Right.
30.
Right. Okay. Cheese, Stroman or Waka, FanDuel GPP?
The correct answer is Stroman, and I prefer Waka.
Okay. Stan says, any interest in a Yankee stack? Cheese, I believe you said you like to play Dodgers, play Houston, and then you're like, and then you listed a few more teams, and the Yankees were one of those. Like, sure.
Yeah. Like officially, I would probably rank them 5th.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, yes, I do like the Yankees. They're just not quite Dodgers, Astros.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Taylor, okay with playing Waka in DK single entry if it lets you get a 5-man Dodger stack, or would you go with a different cheapie other than Waka?
No, I think he's completely fine, and I think I'm doing that in at least one single entry myself.
There you have it. Okay. Another one for you, Taylor. I'm playing a single entry bullet in the large field, $3 mini max on DK. So a single bullet in what the mini max is 150 lineups. Is that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So your favorite stack in that scenario, and then I want to talk to Cheese about it as well.
So if you're playing one lineup in 150 max, you're probably going to want to go pretty off the board, I would think. Seattle was a team I mentioned liking a decent amount. Baltimore is going to be completely overlooked, I think. And Arizona would be another one on my radar that I don't think anyone's playing at all.
Okay. Cheese, is it fully crazy to play one lineup in the $3 mini max?
So this will be an unpopular answer for me. If it's not crazy, partly because it's so cheap, like it's $3,
Right.
and you're taking a shot at something. To me, that tournament is so big with 150, so many people doing 150. If I was doing one lineup in that, I would not stack. I would not even consider a full stack. I would be picking out homers and just saying you have to get ridiculously lucky.
You're winning the lotto
with a single one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would go cheap pitching and just Ohtani here and Judge here and Bobby Witt here and just go nuts.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like in a similar tournament, you've once said, and I've always remembered it, like you can't think your way to winning that tournament. You just
Right.
need to luck your way into it.
You need to be super lucky. And the problem with stacking anything, even the most off the wall stack on the board, when you get 20,000 entries in something on a smaller slate and there's a bunch of people entering 150, even if you just stack Baltimore or the Red Sox or Tampa, like there's hundreds of people with that stack. It's not like you win if that stack hits.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Taylor, right back to you here, all the way from South Carolina. Our guy Daryl George in the chat, Yahoo Cash at $12 and batting third. Should I just be locking in Yordan Alvarez? I don't know much about anything, but the answer is yes. Right? I mean,
yeah, that sounds pretty cheap. So sounds good to me.
I think $10 is the minimum, right?
No, they go down to like 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
So Yahoo adjusts their pricing super fast. Like a guy has a couple bad days and the price drops and then he hits a home run and it shoots up. I think it's fun. I don't actually play there much, but
yeah, I
think it's interesting the way they do the pricing.
Yeah, that does make it more dynamic. Like each day is a brand new day, like, oh, what are we going to get? What are we going to see? All right. So anyways, are we cool with that? We're fine with that. I didn't mean to answer when I don't even know what the salary range is. Cheese, over to you with a little 3v3. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes until lock from Brendan in the YouTube chat. Pablo, Colt, Keith, or is Colt Keith, is that one person?
Colt
Pablo?
Keith is one person.
Okay, all right. Pablo and Colt Keith, great name, by the way, or Framber and Miranda. It's DK Cash.
I think in cash it's Framber and Miranda.
We do approve of Colt Keith, so maybe enter.
I approve of you asking that as a 3v3. That's what I approve.
It just felt like Pablo, Colt, and Keith, but he did the punctuation properly. I should have read it as it was. Cheese, your thoughts on Olsen on DK?
So I don't have any Olsen just because I think the Royals are so good, but as a totally fine pivot off of Waka. Like realistically, Olsen is probably a slightly better pitcher than Waka, and Waka's kind of the chalk in that range. I don't want to pick on the Royals, so I'm not playing him, but I don't think you're crazy if you do.
Okay, great. These are not people. These are games. These are card games. Cheese, I feel like you play card games. Our guy Butho Jenkins says spades or rummy.
A fan of both. Let's say spades.
Okay. I've never played spades. I do very much so enjoy some gin rummy. Taylor, you want to be the tiebreaker here? I go rummy, Cheese goes spades.
I've never played either. I don't even know what spades is, so I'm completely
they're black. They're black cards, but not the cloverleaf ones.
Yeah. This Taylor is a younger generation, right? Like there were more exciting things around when Taylor was growing up than a deck of cards. Whereas when I was growing
probably
up,
true.
And when Cheese was growing up, like this is what we had a deck of cards.
Oh, how old are you, Roth?
I'm 39. How old are you?
Oh, I'm 37. So
really I thought you were
different generations, really.
I thought you were like 30. I thought you were younger than that. All right, I take it back.
I got this gray in the beard here.
Yeah, no, I see it now. You're all right. Yeah. All right. Certified upper 30s. Yeah, I take it back. Is Weathers in play for SP2? I feel like the answer was like, sort of, kind of.
It's very similar to the Waka versus Olsen thing. Like Joe Ross is the chalk, cheaper pitcher. It's totally fine to pivot to Weathers in that same game. Like it's a worse matchup, and that's why he's lower owned. So I prefer Ross, but yeah, absolutely Weathers is in play.
Yeah. What do we got? Devin says FanDuel Cash, Taylor, Gary the Goat, or Singleton?
Gary for sure.
Okay. Stan says, is Gray safe? And I don't really know what he means by safe.
I've wondered that. So he's pitching in St. Louis. I wonder if that's somebody else seeing something about the weather.
What is happening? What is happening in St. Louis that I don't understand? Yeah, I think the weather's fine. Yes. If that's a weather question, I think it's fine. Yeah. Oh, it's so odd. I've gotten that's almost a dozen St. Louis weather
Maybe
questions.
It's an elaborate troll with many people involved.
I would love that. Yeah, like Draft Cheat cooked something up and was like, here's Here's what we're gonna do. Let's see. Any love for a Brewers 5-man stack, Taylor?
I see why you would do that. I am not early on them today, but Weathers isn't very good. So yeah, it's fine if you want to do that.
Less than a minute until lock. Make sure you hit us with that thumbs ups here. I got a lot of Owen Miller and Stroman. What other players can I use?
Well, there are quite a few on the slate that you can also play.
Yeah,
I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right.
You said Owen Miller, right?
I'm not sure.
Is that what you
yeah,
said?
I got a lot of Owen Miller.
You don't want a lot of Owen Miller. Like, he's a huge pinch hit risk, and he's hitting 8th for the Brewers. Like, but like, I mean, just play anyone. There's 1,000 players. I think don't go crazy with Owen Miller, though. I think that would be the lesson here.
Yeah. Hey, I did a kind of poor job in the Discord. That's my bad. So we're going to take these questions. Maybe they're too late, but I always try to prioritize those first, and I skipped out on a few. So let's take these few questions. We got like 4 of them, and then we'll bounce out of here. We have hit lock. Taylor, FanDuel cash, Stroman, Betts, or Valdez Correa?
Valdez Correa.
Okay. FanDuel tournament, 1 lineup. Cheese, would you prefer Bradley or Pablo?
Pablo. Very close, but Pablo.
Okay. Just a fun fact here. There is a Bucks player named Kokeeft. I do like that. I enjoy that. FanDuel GPP Cheese, can't play them all. Your least favorite stud bat. Ooh, okay. Altuve, Mookie, Ohtani, Tucker, Jordan. This is a hilarious spot to be in because you're about to say that someone who has probably going to have a big night is your least favorite of those options.
Yeah. I mean,
Cheese,
these are all
your least favorite, Tuve, Mookie, Ohtani, Tucker, Jordan.
It's Altuve.
Okay, great. And then the last question in the Discord I did not get to. FanDuel single entry GPP. Taylor, Tucker or Ohtani, or squeeze both and drop bets out?
Yeah, I think I might. This is going to sound dumb, but I think I would probably rank Mookie 3rd of those 3. So, although in a tournament you're presumably wanting to stack the Dodgers, so perhaps Tucker's the one you want to X out. I don't know the rest of your lineup, so kind of hard.
Okay. Taylor, you should know that people in the chat think you look very young. So I was not alone in thinking that you were a solid.
Well, thank you.
I think you look super old and sketchy, honestly. So
I needed the reality check after that.
I think with that, we are going to bounce on out of here. So for Taylor and for Cheese and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.